Welcome to Pharma Talks. Today, we're diving into a regulatory perspective on who GMP and ICH-Q10. This presentation serves as a comprehensive video guide designed specifically for pharmaceutical professionals. Throughout this series, I'll be sharing detailed documents and valuable insights to help you navigate these critical standards effectively. Let's get started and explore the essential aspects of quality management in pharmaceuticals. Here is an overview of our 12-section map, guiding us from the fundamentals of good manufacturing practices, or GMP, all the way through to the implementation of a pharmaceutical quality system, or PQS. We begin with the foundations of GMP and the critical aspect of patient protection, setting the stage for understanding the industry and regulatory landscape that governs pharmaceutical manufacturing. We then explore the evolution of WHO GMP Technical Report Series, including the new approaches introduced in WHO TRS 961. Moving forward, we focus on ICH harmonization efforts and the overall quality vision, highlighting the relationship between GMPs and ICH-Q10. Sections 7 through 9 delve into the structure and scope of ICH-Q10, PQS objectives, and essential elements like monitoring, corrective and preventive actions, and change management. We also cover management review processes, practical applicability, as well as implementation strategies, scale-up, and batch release considerations. Finally, we address challenges, organizational culture, and wrap up the series. This structured roadmap will help us build a comprehensive understanding, ensuring a solid grasp of both quality standards and effective system implementation. On this slide, we're looking at the key learning outcomes you should aim to achieve. First, you'll be able to explain how good manufacturing practices, or GMP, play a crucial role in protecting both patient safety and the quality of pharmaceutical products. This is foundational because it ensures that medicines are consistently produced to the standards required for safe use. Next, you'll understand the evolution of the World Health Organization's Technical Report Series, or TRS, specifically focusing on TRS 961, which highlights key areas of emphasis in GMP. This historical perspective helps us appreciate the ongoing improvements in regulatory guidance. We'll also cover how the ICH-Q10 guideline complements GMP practices without replacing them, which is essential for integrating quality management systems effectively. Additionally, you'll learn to map the pharmaceutical quality system's objectives and elements directly to practical, site-level evidence. This makes the concepts tangible and applicable in real-world operations. Finally, this training will equip you to prepare a structured plan for implementation and inspection readiness, which is critical for maintaining compliance and ensuring smooth regulatory audits. Remember, this deck serves multiple purposes: a training reference, a workshop workbook, and a quality management system gap check guide. So keep it handy as a valuable resource throughout your work. Here, we're focusing on the concept of source framing, specifically from the regulatory perspective outlined in ICH-Q10 and the WHO Technical Report Series. The core source material comes from these well-established guidelines, which provide the foundation for our discussion. This presentation starts by exploring the regulatory perspective on ICH-Q10 and the WHO TRS, giving us insight into the evolution and importance of these standards. It then covers a range of topics, including an introduction to WHO GMP TRS history, the vision behind ICH, how these guidelines relate to good manufacturing practices, and the detailed structure of ICH-Q10. What's unique about this deck is that it takes these complex ideas and restructures them into a comprehensive 150-slide PharmaTalks training format, designed to make the material accessible and practical for pharmaceutical professionals. This framing sets the stage for a deep dive into pharmaceutical quality systems through a regulatory lens. This section focuses on the foundations of good manufacturing practice, or GMP, and its crucial role in protecting patients. GMP acts as the operating system that ensures medicines are consistently produced and controlled to the highest quality standards. By the end of this section, you'll be able to translate the regulatory concepts of GMP into practical, site-level evidence, controls, and actions that owners and operators must implement. This understanding is key to maintaining compliance and, most importantly, safeguarding patient health. On this slide, we focus on the foundational aspects of good manufacturing practices, or GMP, and their critical role in protecting patients. The source we're referencing here highlights key regulatory perspectives, particularly drawing from ICH-Q10 and WHO technical reports. These guidelines form the backbone of quality management in pharmaceuticals, ensuring that medicines are safe and effective for patients. The presentation is delivered by Dr. A. Rankishan, who serves as the Assistant Drugs Controller in India, bringing valuable regulatory insight from the Government of India. This perspective reinforces how stringent regulations and thorough quality systems work hand in hand to safeguard public health. GMP, or Good Manufacturing Practice, serves as the operating system that ensures medicines are consistently produced and controlled to meet quality standards. This is crucial because it lowers patient risk by enforcing strict quality protocols. Following written procedures exactly as outlined is essential. It's not just about doing the work, but doing it the right way every time. Importantly, testing alone can't guarantee product quality. It's the combination of standardized processes and thorough documentation that protects patients. This section translates regulatory principles into everyday actions, clear objective records, and inputs for management reviews, making sure quality is maintained at every step. Essentially, GMP foundations are about safeguarding patient health through reliable, controlled manufacturing practices. On this slide, we focus on the foundations of good manufacturing practice and the critical aspect of protecting patients through effective risk management. The main risks we need to control include relying solely on finished product testing, which can miss issues earlier in the process, incomplete evidence in standard operating procedures, which can lead to inconsistencies, and weak proof of training, which undermines staff competence. A key question to ask is whether the site can demonstrate that all risks have been properly identified, prioritized, controlled, monitored, and reviewed by the appropriate person. To manage this, we recommend using quality risk management, especially when dealing with complex processes or areas that significantly impact patient safety. It's important to keep the rationale for risk control proportional to the level of risk, supported by solid documented knowledge. Additionally, risk decisions should be reviewed and updated whenever there are changes to data, processes, or regulations to ensure ongoing protection. This approach ensures a robust framework that upholds both product quality and patient safety. On this slide, we're focusing on the foundations of good manufacturing practice, or GMP, and how it protects patients by ensuring quality and compliance. A key element is having an inspection-ready evidence package. This package should include essential documents like the GMP policy, training records, the SOP index, and the deviation log. These files need to meet a high-quality standard, meaning each one must be approved, up-to-date, complete, easy to trace, retrievable, and consistent with actual practices on the floor. A helpful tip is to create a one-page index for this section and attach it directly to the audit room evidence folder. This simple step can save time during inspections and helps ensure everything is organized and accessible. This slide outlines the GMP foundations and patient protection process flow, showing how we move from an initial signal to controlled action. It starts with a signal, which can be any observation or data point indicating a potential issue. Next is the assessment phase, where we evaluate the risk and impact of that signal. Based on this assessment, a decision is made to approve the appropriate path forward. Once approved, the execution phase kicks in, where controls are implemented to manage or mitigate the identified risks. Finally, we conduct a review to track trends and learn from the outcomes. A few important details. Every handoff within this process must be documented and time-bound to ensure accountability. Quality assurance plays a critical role, not just in collecting signatures, but in actively verifying the integrity of the process. If signals keep recurring, they must be escalated to management for further review. This thorough approach helps us maintain strong patient protection and compliance within GMP standards. On this slide, we're focusing on the suggested accountability model within GMP foundations and patient protection. The idea here is to clearly define roles and responsibilities to ensure everything runs smoothly and safely. Quality assurance acts as the system owner and also serves as an independent reviewer, which means they have a crucial role in overseeing processes without bias. Operations teams are the practice owners and record creators, meaning they're the ones actually performing the tasks and documenting them accurately. Then, The QC or lab team takes ownership of data and test integrity, ensuring the accuracy and reliability of results. Management holds responsibility for resources and risk decisions, making sure the necessary support and safeguards are in place. It's vital to clarify who approves each step, who performs it, who reviews it, and who escalates issues. Every process and record trail must be understood and explainable by the respective owners. Importantly, no cross-functional issues should be left without a designated decision maker. Accountability must be clear at every level to protect patient safety and ensure compliance. This model strengthens oversight and helps maintain the highest standards in pharmaceutical practice. On this slide, we focus on important metrics that are useful for management review within the context of GMP foundations and patient protection. Key metrics include open CAPA aging, which tracks how long corrective and preventive actions remain unresolved. We also look at change control cycle time, deviation recurrence, audit finding closure rates, training effectiveness, and the percentage of right first time records. A good metric is more than just a number. It should have a clearly defined numerator and denominator, specify how often is measured, set thresholds for acceptable performance, and have an assigned owner along with an escalation path if issues arise. It's essential to trend these metrics over time rather than relying on single data points. Doing so helps identify patterns or repeated deviations that can be addressed proactively. Ultimately, these metrics should be connected to the quality of the product and the protection of patients, ensuring that our processes support safe and effective outcomes. Let's take a moment to think about how the GMP foundations and patient protection principles are actually applied in your facility. Consider a specific area. This could be a room, a process, or even particular record. Identify who is responsible for it, the owner of that process. Then, reflect on what good evidence of compliance would look like in that context. Next, think about what circumstances or findings would trigger a deviation, a corrective and preventive action, or even a change control. Finally, let's focus on continuous improvement by capturing one actionable step that can be logged and tracked on your site action log. This exercise helps us connect the theory to real-world practice and ensures we are always protecting the patient while maintaining GMP standards. Before an inspection, there are several critical actions we need to complete to ensure GMP foundations and patient protection are fully implemented. First, it's important to translate the regulatory section into site-specific standard operating procedures. This makes sure that the guidelines are clear and practical for our particular site. Next, we assign one process owner and one quality assurance reviewer to each deliverable. This ensures accountability and quality oversight for every step. Additionally, we use trend data to identify which controls need management's attention, allowing us to focus resources where they matter most. Finally, we confirm that the entire package is inspection-ready, fully approved, and easily retrievable. The output of this process is a signed and dated readiness package that's tailored to our site, with clearly designated owners and a tracker for any open actions. This thorough preparation is essential for maintaining compliance and protecting patients. Let's recap the key points from this section on GMP foundations and patient protection. The core idea here is that good manufacturing practice acts like an operating system for pharmaceutical production. It ensures that medicines are consistently produced and controlled to meet quality standards. This consistency is crucial for patient safety. To achieve this, strict controls are put in place. Quality standards help reduce patient risk, and following written procedures consistently is essential to maintaining those standards. Evidence of GMP compliance includes documented policies, training records, an index of standard operating procedures, and logs of any deviations. As a next step, it's important to assign responsible owners to any open actions and close them promptly to maintain confidence in the process. With that, we've completed PharmaTalk's Checkpoint 1, moving closer to a solid understanding of how GMP protects patients through reliable manufacturing practices. In this section, we'll dive into the industry and regulatory landscape of the Indian pharmaceutical ecosystem. India's pharmaceutical sector operates on a global scale, which means it is crucial for companies to maintain inspection-ready quality systems at all times. This ensures compliance not only with local regulations, but also with international standards. By the end of this section, you will be equipped to translate regulatory concepts into practical, site-level evidence, implement appropriate controls, and define owner actions to maintain these standards effectively. This knowledge is essential for ensuring that your site can withstand audits and continue to deliver quality pharmaceuticals to the global market. The Indian pharmaceutical ecosystem functions on a global scale, which means it must maintain inspection-ready quality systems at all times. Because India has a large export footprint, there are heightened expectations for inspections from regulatory bodies around the world. Additionally, the regulatory requirements vary by geography, influencing how inspection and laboratory networks are structured and managed. Strong quality systems are essential to maintaining patient confidence in markets worldwide. This matters because it's not just about compliance on paper. The principles of regulation must translate into everyday behaviors, clear and objective record keeping, and inputs for management reviews. Turning these regulatory principles into consistent practices is what ultimately supports global trust and success in the pharmaceutical industry. Here, we're focusing on the industry and regulatory landscape, particularly within the context of the Indian pharmaceutical sector. First, it's important to translate key regulatory terms into the language used at the site to ensure clear understanding. Defining these terms precisely, whether in the quality manual or SOP glossary, helps maintain consistency. Linking each term to objective records and acceptance criteria provides concrete evidence for compliance, which is critical during inspections. Training personnel with specific examples enables them to confidently explain these concepts when questioned. Looking at the industry snapshot, the Indian pharmaceutical market is significant, valued at approximately 1.2 lakh crore rupees, or about 20 billion US dollars, and it's growing at an impressive 20% annually. The domestic market accounts for around 58,000 crore rupees, roughly $11.6 billion, while exports contribute about 47,000 crore rupees, equivalent to $10.3 billion. Understanding the size and growth of the industry helps contextualize regulatory requirements and highlights the importance of rigorous adherence to standards. This comprehensive approach ensures quality, regulatory compliance, and supports India's position as a key player in the global pharmaceutical landscape. On this slide, we're looking at the industry and regulatory landscape through a risk lens. The main risks to control include the regulatory network not being accurately reflected in site files, which can lead to compliance gaps. Another risk is underestimating global market expectations, which could result in missed requirements or delays. Additionally, unclear interfaces between a lab and other zones create confusion and potential errors. The key risk control question we need to address is whether the site can demonstrate that risks are identified, properly ranked, effectively controlled, continuously monitored, and regularly reviewed by the right owner. To manage these risks, it's important to use quality risk management, or QRM, especially when dealing with complex situations or issues that can impact patient safety. Also, any risk rationale should be proportional to the level of risk and fully documented based on current knowledge. Lastly, it's critical to revisit and review risk decisions whenever there are changes in data, processes, or regulations to ensure ongoing compliance and safety. On this slide, we're focusing on the industry and regulatory landscape with an emphasis on building an inspection-ready evidence package. This package should include key documents like a regulatory map, which outlines the applicable regulations, a comprehensive site master file detailing the facility and operations, a record of past inspection history, and a list of export markets to clarify where products are distributed. Equally important is maintaining a high file quality standard. Each file must be approved, current, complete, traceable, and easily retrievable, ensuring that everything aligns with actual practice. This consistency is crucial for smooth and successful inspections. A practical tip here is to create a one-page index for the section. Attaching this index to the audit room evidence folder can significantly streamline the review process and make navigation easier for auditors. This helps demonstrate a well-organized and transparent regulatory approach. Here, we're looking at the industry and regulatory landscape through the lens of a process flow, from an initial signal all the way to controlled action. It starts with a signal, which is essentially the observation or data that alerts us to something important. From there, We move into the assessment phase, where we evaluate the risk and its potential impact to understand the situation better. Next comes the decision point, where we approve the appropriate path forward based on our assessment. Following that, execution is crucial. This is where we implement the necessary controls to address the issue effectively. But the process doesn't stop once the control is in place. Regular review is essential. During this phase, we track trends and learn from outcomes to continuously improve. It's important to make sure every handoff between these stages is clearly documented and time-bound to avoid any gaps. Quality assurance should be used not just to gather signatures, but to verify that the process is being followed correctly. Also, if signals are repeated, they must be escalated promptly to management for review. This structured approach ensures that responses are timely, documented, and effective, aligning with industry and regulatory expectations. Here, we're looking at a suggested accountability model for the industry and regulatory landscape, focusing on the roles involved. This model clarifies the responsibilities across different functions to ensure smooth operations and compliance. Quality assurance, or QA, acts as a system owner and independent reviewer, maintaining oversight and ensuring processes meet the required standards. Meanwhile, operations includes a practice owner and record creator, meaning they're directly involved in executing tasks and documenting them accurately. Quality control in the lab function as data and test integrity owners, responsible for the accuracy and reliability of testing results. Management oversees resources and makes decisions related to risks, ensuring the organization is properly supported and protected. It's crucial to clearly define who approves each step, who performs the work, who reviews it, and who escalates issues when needed. Owners must be able to explain both the standard operating procedures and the related record trail to maintain transparency and accountability. Finally, it's important not to leave any cross-functional issues without a named decision-maker, so every concern has a responsible party to address it effectively. This clear delineation of roles helps maintain compliance and promotes efficient, transparent processes. When we talk about useful metrics for management review, there are several key indicators that provide valuable insights. These include open CAPA aging, which tracks how long corrective and preventive actions remain unresolved. Change control cycle time measures the duration it takes to implement changes, highlighting efficiency. Deviation recurrence is essential to monitor repeated issues, while audit finding closure assesses how quickly and effectively audit observations are addressed. Training effectiveness ensures that personnel are properly equipped to maintain quality standards, and right first time records focus on accuracy and reducing rework. A high-quality metric must have a clearly defined numerator and denominator, along with specified frequency of measurement. Set thresholds for acceptable performance, a designated owner responsible for metric, and an escalation path if targets are not met. It's important to analyze these metrics as trends over time rather than isolated snapshots. This approach helps identify patterns and prevents recurring problems by enabling timely preventive actions. Also, linking these metrics directly to product quality and patient impact reinforces their relevance and drives continuous improvement. Now, let's dive into the discussion prompt for this workshop on the industry and regulatory landscape. Think about your own facility and consider where an inspector might actually observe this concept in action. Which specific room or process would they see? What records would be available to support compliance? And who would be responsible for them? It's important to identify what good evidence looks like. For example, clear documentation and adherence to protocols. Also, think about what situations might trigger a deviation, a corrective and preventive action, or a change control. Finally, take a moment to capture one improvement action that could be added to the site action log. This exercise will help solidify your understanding of how regulatory expectations translate into practical, everyday operations. Before an inspection, it's crucial to take specific actions to ensure everything is thoroughly prepared. First, translate the relevant section into your site's standard operating procedures, making sure it fits the specific industry and regulatory environment you operate in. Next, assign clear responsibilities by designating one process owner and one quality assurance reviewer for each deliverable. This helps maintain accountability and quality control throughout the process. Additionally, Use trend data to identify which controls need management's focus, ensuring resources are directed effectively. Finally, verify that the entire package is ready for inspection. It should be fully approved, easy to retrieve, and finalized. The output of these actions is a signed and dated, site-specific readiness package that clearly identifies owners and includes an open actions tracker to monitor any outstanding tasks. This approach ensures you have a well-organized and transparent process leading up to the inspection. To recap this section on the industry and regulatory landscape, the core idea is that the Indian pharmaceutical ecosystem functions on a global scale and must maintain inspection-ready quality at all times. Because of the large export footprint, there are heightened expectations during global inspections. Regulatory requirements vary depending on the geography, which shapes how controls are implemented. We've reviewed key evidence including the regulatory map, site master file, inspection history, and export market list. The next step is to assign clear ownership and close any open actions to ensure continued compliance. With this, we complete PharmaTalks Checkpoint 2. In this section, we're focusing on the evolution of the WHO GMP Technical Report Series. Over the decades, these reports have developed to support global standards and promote regulatory convergence across countries. This evolution helps ensure consistent quality and safety in pharmaceutical manufacturing worldwide. Our goal by the end of this section is to empower you to translate the regulatory concepts outlined in WHO GMP guidelines into practical, site-level actions. This means understanding how to provide evidence, implement controls, and assign clear ownership to maintain compliance effectively. So, as we move forward, keep in mind that these guidelines are not just theoretical. They are tools you can apply directly within your operations to drive continuous quality improvement and regulatory alignment. On this slide, we take a closer look at the evolution of the Good Manufacturing Practices Technical Report Series, or GMP-TRS for short. We begin by understanding the historical foundation, starting with the 21st report in 1965, known as TRS 307. This was the initial stepping stone, setting standards for pharmaceutical manufacturing quality. Over the next decade, these reports evolved through several key additions: TRS 418 in 1971, TRS 463 and 487 both in 1972, and then TRS 567 in 1975. Each report reflects important updates and refinements as the pharmaceutical industry and regulatory expectations advanced. This progression not only highlights the ongoing commitment to ensuring medicine safety and quality, but also underscores how the guidelines have adapted to emerging challenges over time. Understanding this timeline is crucial for appreciating the robust framework that governs pharmaceutical manufacturing today. The WHO GMP technical reports have evolved over several decades to support global standards and encourage regulatory convergence. This evolution reflects the ongoing commitment to harmonize practices worldwide. However, there are some key challenges in implementation, notably trust and culture, which can act as significant barriers. Additionally, small and medium-sized units often require practical, feasible pathways to comply effectively. By providing clear references and continuous learning opportunities, the system becomes more cohesive and easier to navigate. Why does this matter? Because this section translates broad regulatory principles into everyday behaviors, ensuring that practices are documented objectively and consistently reviewed by management. This approach helps embed good manufacturing practices into the daily operations of pharmaceutical production, driving quality and safety across the board. On this slide, we focus on the evolution and definitions related to the WHO GMP Technical Report Series, or TRS. The key idea here is understanding how these terms have developed over time and how they should be interpreted and applied at the site level. It's important to translate these regulatory phrases into the site's local language to ensure clear communication and compliance. We look back at the history starting with WHO TRS 307 from 1965, moving through subsequent reports like TRS 418 in 1971 and TRS 463 in 1972. These reports have progressively shaped the terminology and standards we use today. At the site level, definitions need to be clearly established. This means defining terms in quality manuals or SOP glossaries, linking each term to objective records and acceptance criteria. Training is crucial so personnel can not only understand but also confidently explain these concepts during inspections. By grounding definitions in evidence and owner responsibility, we strengthen the quality system and make sure everyone involved is on the same page. This slide underscores that GMP TRS terminology is not static. It evolves and requires active management and education to be effective in practice. Here, we focus on the evolution of GMP TRS and the risks associated with it. The main risks we need to control include using outdated TRS references, not training on guideline changes, and treating historical requirements as optional, which can lead to compliance gaps. The key question to ask is whether the site can demonstrate that risks are properly identified, ranked, controlled, monitored, and reviewed by the right owner. To manage these risks effectively, it's important to apply quality risk management, especially when complexity or patient impact is high. We should keep the rationale proportional to the risk and ensure it's well documented. Finally, risk decisions must be reviewed whenever there are changes in data, processes, or regulations to maintain compliance and safety. On this slide, we're focusing on the evolution of the GMP Technical Report Series and the importance of having an inspection-ready evidence package. A key part of this package is the culture plan, which ensures that the organization's values and behaviors align with GMP requirements. Next, the QMS maturity assessment helps evaluate how well the quality management system is functioning and where improvements are needed. Training closure is critical because it confirms that all relevant staff have completed necessary training and are competent in their roles. The reference log serves as a central record, keeping track of all documents and evidence utilized during inspections. Regarding file quality standards, each file must be approved, current, complete, traceable, and easily retrievable. Most importantly, the file should reflect the actual practices in the facility, meaning what's documented corresponds with what is really happening on the floor. A practical tip from Pharmatalks is to create a one-page index for each section and attach it to the audit room evidence folder. This makes it much easier for inspectors to navigate the documentation quickly and efficiently. Overall, these points emphasize the need for thorough preparation and organization to meet GMP expectations effectively. Here we see the evolution and process flow of GMP TRS, illustrating how we move from an initial signal to a controlled action. It starts with the signal itself, which may come in the form of an observation or data point indicating a potential issue or area for review. From there, a thorough assessment is conducted to evaluate the risk and impact associated with that signal. Based on this assessment, a decision is made to approve the next steps or path of action. Once approved, the execution phase begins, where controls are implemented to address the identified concern. Following implementation, a review process takes place to analyze trends and derive learnings from the actions taken. Key to this entire process is ensuring every handoff is well documented and time-bound, preventing gaps in communication. Quality assurance plays an active role by verifying the process itself, rather than just collecting signatures, to maintain integrity and compliance. Finally, any repeated signals are escalated to management review, ensuring persistent issues receive the necessary attention and resolution. This structured approach helps maintain rigorous standards and continuous improvement within GMP operations. On this slide, we're focusing on the evolution of the GMP Technical Report Series and the suggested accountability model within pharmaceutical quality systems. The main idea here is to clearly define the roles and responsibilities across different functional areas to ensure effective quality management. First, quality assurance, or QA, acts as the system owner and independent reviewer. Their role is crucial to maintaining oversight of processes and ensuring compliance with established standards. Operations, on the other hand, are the practice owners and record creators. They are responsible for carrying out the procedures and generating the necessary documentation to support compliance. Next, the quality control or QC laboratory holds responsibility as the data and test integrity owner. This means they ensure that all testing data is accurate, reliable, and trustworthy, which is fundamental for quality decisions. Management's role is to act as the resource and risk decision owner. They provide the necessary resources and make critical decisions regarding risk mitigation to support the quality system. A key takeaway here is the emphasis on clarifying who approves actions, who performs them, who reviews them, and who is responsible for escalation if issues arise. Owners are expected not only to follow the standard operating procedures, but also to be able to explain the entire record trail, ensuring transparency and accountability. Finally, it's essential that cross-functional issues are not left without a clearly named decision maker. This avoids confusion and ensures timely resolution of any problems. Overall, this model strengthens governance by assigning clear accountability and promoting thorough oversight throughout the system, aligned with the latest WHO GMP guidance. On this slide, we're focusing on the evolution of WHO GMP Technical Report Series metrics, specifically those that are useful for management review. The key metrics to track include open CAPA aging, which helps us monitor the timeliness of corrective and preventive actions, change control cycle time, to ensure changes are implemented efficiently, deviation recurrence, which points to repeated process issues, audit finding closure, tracking how quickly audit issues are resolved, training effectiveness, to assess how well staff are trained, and write first-time records, which measure the accuracy and quality of documentation. When evaluating these metrics, it's important they meet certain quality criteria. A good metric should have a clearly defined numerator and denominator, specify how often it is measured, set threshold for action, designate an owner responsible for metric, and have an established escalation path if targets aren't met. Furthermore, metrics should be trended over time rather than just looked at as one-off data points. This helps identify patterns of repeated drift so that we can shift from reactive to preventive actions. Finally, all metrics should be directly linked to product quality and patient impact, ensuring that management decisions are focused on maintaining high standards and safeguarding patient safety. Now, let's discuss how the WHO GMP TRS evolution concept is actually applied in your facility. Think about where an inspector might see this concept in action. Consider specific rooms, processes, records, and who owns them. It's important to be able to identify what good evidence looks like in these areas, so you can demonstrate compliance clearly. Also, reflect on what circumstances would trigger a deviation, corrective and preventive action, or a change control. Finally, think about one improvement action that could be added to your site's action log to enhance compliance further. This exercise will help reinforce understanding and practical application of GMP principles in your daily operations. Before an inspection, there are several critical actions we need complete to ensure readiness for the WHO GMP TRS evolution. First, we translate the relevant sections into site-specific SOP language, making sure the guidelines are clear and applicable to our operations. Next, it's essential to assign a dedicated process owner and a QA reviewer for every deliverable, ensuring accountability and thorough review. We also analyze trend data to identify which controls need management's attention, so we can address any potential issues proactively. Finally, we confirm that the entire package is inspection ready, meaning it is fully approved, finalized, and easy to retrieve when needed. The key output from this process is a signed and dated readiness package tailored to our site, which includes clearly identified owners and an open actions tracker to monitor any ongoing tasks. This comprehensive approach helps us maintain compliance and be fully prepared for any inspections. Let's take a moment to recap the key points about the evolution of WHO GMP technical reports. The core idea here is that these reports have developed over several decades, all with the goal of supporting global standards and regulatory requirements. We've seen that implementing these standards isn't just about rules. Trust and culture play a big role as barriers. It's especially important for small and medium-sized units to have practical ways to apply these standards effectively. On the evidence front, we've looked at tools like culture plans, quality management system maturity assessments, training closure processes, and reference logs. These elements help ensure that compliance isn't just theoretical, but actively maintained. Moving forward, the critical next step is to assign specific owners for these tasks and make sure all outstanding actions are completed. With this checkpoint complete, we're ready to continue building on these foundations as we progress through Pharma Talks. In this section, we will focus on WHO TRS 961 and the new approaches it introduces. The key highlights include enhanced quality risk management, improvements in technology transfer, and advancements in regulatory documentation. Our goal here is to help you translate these regulatory concepts into practical site-level actions, evidence, and controls. By the end of this section, you should feel confident in applying these principles directly in your work environment. This checkpoint is designed to solidify your understanding and ensure you're ready to implement these important updates effectively. On this slide, we're focusing on the new approaches outlined in WHO TRS 961. The source emphasizes several key areas starting with quality assurance, highlighting innovative methods to ensure product safety and efficacy. Another crucial point is the WHO guidelines on quality risk management, which help organizations identify and mitigate risks throughout the production process. Additionally, the guidelines on technology transfer are designed to facilitate smoother and more effective transfer of technologies between entities, ensuring consistency and quality. There's also an important focus on the pre-qualification of quality control laboratories, which means these labs must meet stringent standards before they can be recognized officially. The slide also mentions updates to ongoing activities and the procedures for pre-qualifying laboratories, ensuring that quality control remains robust and reliable. These measures collectively aim to strengthen overall pharmaceutical quality systems and safeguard public health. This slide focuses on the key messages from WHO TRS 961 and its new approach. The core idea here is the emphasis on quality risk management and improvements in technology transfer, along with enhancing regulatory documentation. Specifically, the report highlights the importance of quality risk management, or QRM, and technology transfer processes to ensure consistency and reliability. It also stresses that maintaining a thorough and accurate site master file and high-quality documentation are crucial for compliance and operational excellence. Additionally, laboratory pre-qualification is underlined as a support mechanism for dependable testing, which is essential for ensuring product safety and effectiveness. Why does this matter? Because the section effectively translates a broad regulatory principle into practical, everyday behaviors within pharmaceutical operations. It encourages the use of objective records and ensures that management reviews are informed and effective, promoting a culture of continuous quality improvement. Overall, the TRS 961 provides actionable guidance that transforms regulatory expectations into tangible, routine practices. On this slide, we focus on the new approaches and definitions introduced in WHO Technical Report Series 961. One key point is the importance of translating these terms into the local site language to ensure clear understanding and consistent application. Within regulatory phrasing, adapting terminology is crucial for compliance. Quality assurance is evolving, and these new approaches emphasize the significance of defining terms precisely within quality manuals or SOP glossaries. This helps to maintain clarity and consistency. Additionally, linking terms to objective records and acceptance criteria provides solid evidence during inspections. Personnel training is also highlighted. Staff should be equipped to explain these concepts clearly when inspected. The slide also references WHO guidelines on quality risk management and technology transfer, pointing to foundational resources that support these new concepts. Pre-qualification of quality control laboratories and the designation of an owner for processes further strengthen accountability and quality oversight. Overall, this slide underscores the necessity of clear definitions, evidence-backed processes, and thorough training to align with WHO's updated standards. On this slide, we're focusing on the new approaches outlined in WHO TRS 961, specifically through the lens of risk management. The main risks to control here include the possibility that quality risk management, or QRM, is not being utilized when making transfer decisions. Additionally, there's a risk that the site master file information is outdated and that the laboratory file may not accurately reflect current practices. The key question we need to address is whether the site can demonstrate that the risks have been properly identified, ranked in order of importance, controlled effectively, monitored consistently, and reviewed by the appropriate owner. To do this successfully, it's important to apply QRM, particularly in situations where complexity or patient impact is significant. The rationale for decisions should be proportional to the level of risk and supported by documented knowledge. Finally, risk decisions must be revisited whenever there are changes to data, processes, or regulations to ensure ongoing compliance and safety. This approach helps maintain a robust, proactive stance on managing key risks in line with the WHO TRS 961 guidelines. On this slide, we focus on the WHO Technical Report Series 961. specifically the new approaches and the type of evidence required to be inspection ready. One of the key components is having a comprehensive evidence package that supports quality management and regulatory compliance. This includes several critical documents. The Quality Risk Management Procedure, which outlines how risks are systematically identified and controlled. The Technology Transfer Protocol, which ensures smooth transfer of technical knowledge and processes. The Site Master File Template, providing detailed information about the manufacturing site. And the Laboratory File, which documents lab activities and results. An important quality standard for these files is that each one must be approved, up to date, complete, traceable, easily retrievable, and accurately reflect current practices. This ensures transparency and reliability during audits. A practical tip to streamline audits is to create a one-page index for each section and attach it to the audit room evidence folder, making navigation easier for inspectors and auditors alike. This approach aligns with WHO TRS 961's guidance on maintaining organized, inspection-ready documentation. On this slide, we're looking at the WHO TRS 961's new approach in process flow, which guides us from the initial signal all the way to controlled action. It starts with the signal itself, which can come from observations or data. This is crucial because identifying early signals allows us to act proactively. Next, we move into assessment, where we evaluate the risk and potential impact of the signal. This step is key to understanding how seriously we need to take the issue and what kind of response is warranted. Following assessment, a decision is made to approve the path forward. This ensures that any action taken is deliberate and based on solid information. Then we go into execution, where the control measures are actually implemented to address the signal. Lastly, the review phase is where we analyze trends and learn from the experience. This continuous loop helps improve future responses. Importantly, the process emphasizes documenting every handoff with clear timeframes, using quality assurance not just to gather signatures, but to verify the effectiveness of the process, and escalating repeated signals for management review to ensure sustained attention on ongoing issues. This structured approach strengthens how we manage signals in healthcare, leading to better safety and control outcomes. On this slide, we're looking at the new approach outlined in WHO TRS 961 related to roles and accountability. The suggested accountability model clearly defines distinct roles, such as QA, operations, QC or lab personnel, and management. Each role has specific responsibilities. For example, QA acts as a system owner and independent reviewer, while operations serve as a practice owner and record creator. QC or lab staff are responsible for data and test integrity, and management handles resource and risk decisions. A critical aspect of this model is clarify who approves, who performs, who reviews, and who escalates issues. It ensures that owners not only understand the standard operating procedures, but can also explain the record trail associated with them. This approach prevents any cross-functional issues from being left unresolved by mandating a named decision-maker for every situation. Essentially, it promotes transparency, accountability, and clear communication across all functions to maintain compliance and operational integrity. On this slide, we are looking at new approaches and metrics outlined in the WHO TRS 961 for effective management review. The slide highlights several useful metrics that provide valuable insights into quality and compliance processes. These include tracking how long open CAPAs have been outstanding, measuring the cycle time for change control, monitoring the recurrence of deviations, ensuring timely closure of audit findings, assessing training effectiveness, and evaluating the accuracy of records completed right the first time. It's important to understand what makes a metric truly effective. A good metric isn't just a number. It has a clearly defined numerator and denominator, a set frequency for measurement, established thresholds, a designated owner responsible for it, and a clear escalation path if things go off track. Moreover, metrics should be trended over time to identify patterns rather than relying on single data points. When you notice repeated deviations or drifts, those should trigger preventive actions to avoid future issues. Finally, the ultimate goal is to connect these metrics directly to product quality and patient impact, ensuring that our quality efforts truly translate into safer, more effective outcomes. On this slide, we focus on the practical application of the WHO TRS 961 new approaches within your facility. Think about where an inspector might actually observe these concepts in action. This involves identifying a specific room or area, the process being followed, the relevant records, and the person responsible. It's important to understand what constitutes good evidence that these new approaches are being effectively implemented. Additionally, consider what situations would trigger a deviation, a corrective and preventive action, or a change control. Finally, we want you to capture one improvement action that could be added to your site's action log. This exercise helps to ground the theory in real-world practice and encourages continuous improvement. Before an inspection, there are several crucial actions we need to complete to align with who TRS 961 new approaches. First, it's important to translate the relevant section into site-specific SOP language. This ensures that the new approaches are clearly understood and implemented in a way that fits our site's processes. Next, we must assign one process owner and one QA reviewer for each deliverable to maintain accountability and quality control throughout. Additionally, we should use trend data to identify which controls need management's attention, helping us prioritize our efforts effectively. Finally, we confirm that the final package is inspection-ready, fully approved, and easily retrievable to avoid any delays or confusion during the inspection. The output of these actions is a signed and dated site-specific readiness package that clearly identifies owners and includes an open actions tracker, ensuring transparency and preparedness. This structured approach helps us stay organized and confident as we prepare for inspections. Let's recap the key points from who TRS 961 and the new approaches we've discussed. The core idea focuses on quality risk management, technology transfer, and the critical importance of regulatory documentation. These elements form the foundation for ensuring consistent product quality and compliance. When it comes to controls, quality risk management and technology transfer processes are emphasized. Additionally, maintaining an accurate and up-to-date site master file, along with high-quality documentation, plays a vital role in regulatory compliance. For evidence, we reference specific tools and procedures such as the Quality Risk Management Procedure, the Technology Transfer Protocol, the Site Master File Template, and the Laboratory File. These documents support and demonstrate adherence to the standards. The next step is to assign responsibility to owners who will close any open actions, ensuring the process moves forward smoothly and no tasks are left unresolved. With this, we have completed the PharmaTalks Checkpoint 04, solidifying our understanding of the who TRS 961 new approaches. This section focuses on ICH harmonization and quality vision. The ICH Q10 framework establishes a comprehensive lifecycle approach to quality, integrating development, manufacturing, and continuous improvement to ensure consistent product quality. By the end of this section, you'll be equipped to translate these high-level regulatory concepts into practical, site-level evidence, controls, and actions that drive quality in your operations. This checkpoint is designed to help you connect the theory with real-world application, enhancing both compliance and process efficiency. Here, we focus on the ICH harmonization and its quality vision. The key point is that ICH, or the International Council for Harmonization, was established back in 1990. It represents a unique collaboration between three major global regions: the European Union, Japan, and the United States. Their goal was to harmonize the technical requirements for registering pharmaceuticals intended for human use. This harmonization helps streamline the drug approval process across these regions, promoting consistency and ensuring high-quality standards in pharmaceutical development and regulation. Understanding this foundation is crucial, as it sets the stage for global cooperation in pharmaceutical quality. Here we're focusing on the ICH harmonization and quality vision, specifically through the lens of ICH Q10. The core idea behind ICH Q10 is to establish a lifecycle quality system that supports every stage, from product development to manufacturing and ongoing improvement. This lifecycle approach links development and manufacturing, ensuring seamless integration. Additionally, ICH Q8, Q9, and Q10 are designed to work together, creating a cohesive framework for quality management. Continual improvement is a key component, and it relies heavily on the use of accurate data and deep knowledge to drive enhancements. Why does this matter? Because it transforms overarching regulatory principles into everyday practices, objective documentation, and vital inputs for management reviews. This alignment helps ensure consistent quality, compliance, and ongoing product performance throughout the product's life. On this slide, we're focusing on the concept of ICH harmonization and its impact on quality vision and terminology. The ICH, or International Council for Harmonization, was established back in 1990 as a collaborative effort between the European Union, Japan, and the United States. The primary goal was to streamline and harmonize technical requirements across these regions to facilitate consistent quality standards. One key aspect we're emphasizing here is the importance of translating regulatory terms into the local site language. This ensures that everyone involved truly understands critical concepts, which is essential for compliance and quality management. To do this effectively, it's recommended to define these terms clearly within your quality manuals or SOP glossaries and link them to objective records and acceptance criteria. This makes the definitions tangible and verifiable. Moreover, training personnel with concrete examples helps them articulate these concepts confidently during inspections, demonstrating a deep understanding rather than just rote definitions. This unique approach to harmonization and communication strengthens overall quality assurance and aligns teams globally. So, in summary, ICH harmonization is not just about aligning regulations, but also about ensuring clarity and shared understanding at every site through careful definition, translation, and practical training. On this slide, we focus on the key risks that need careful control within the framework of ICH harmonization and the quality vision, specifically through a risk lens. One major challenge is that the quality vision often remains theoretical. It isn't fully embedded into practical, day-to-day operations. Another critical point is that knowledge gained throughout the product lifecycle isn't consistently captured, which limits continuous improvement efforts. Furthermore, improvement activities are often not connected to actual data, making it harder to measure their impact. The central question we need to ask is, can a site demonstrate that these risks are properly identified, ranked, controlled, monitored, and reviewed by the appropriate individuals? This accountability is crucial for effective risk management. To address this, we recommend applying quality risk management, or QRM, especially in situations where the process complexity or patient impact is high. It's important to keep the rationale for risk control proportional to both the level of risk and the existing documented knowledge. Additionally, any risk-related decisions should be revisited whenever there are changes in data, processes, or regulations to ensure ongoing relevance and effectiveness. This approach helps maintain a dynamic and responsive quality system that truly supports patient safety and product quality. On this slide, we're focusing on the ICH harmonization and quality vision, specifically how to create an inspection-ready evidence package. The key components of this package include a quality manual, an alignment memo covering Q8, Q9, and Q10 guidelines, a continual improvement register, and a comprehensive lifecycle plan. It's important that every file meets the file quality standard. This means each file must be approved, current, complete, traceable, and easily retrievable, while also reflecting actual practice accurately. A helpful tip here is to create a one-page index for each section, which you can attach to the audit room evidence folder. This makes it much easier for auditors to navigate and verify your documentation. Paying close attention to these details ensures your quality management system is fully aligned with ICH requirements and inspection ready at all times. Here we focus on the ICH harmonization and quality vision process flow, which guides us from identifying a signal all the way to controlled action. It starts with the signal itself, which can be any observation or data point that indicates something noteworthy. Next, we move into assessment, where we carefully evaluate the risk and potential impact associated with that signal. This assessment leads to a critical decision stage, where an approved path is selected based on findings. Then comes execution, where we implement the necessary controls to address the issue. Finally, we conduct a review, looking at trends over time to learn and continuously improve. It's important that every handoff in this process is clearly documented and time-bound to maintain accountability. Quality assurance plays a key role here, not just collecting signatures, but actively verifying the effectiveness of the process. And when we see repeated signals, those need to be escalated for higher management review to ensure we're addressing root causes thoroughly. This structured approach is essential for maintaining high-quality standards in pharmaceutical development and manufacturing. On this slide, we're looking at the suggested accountability model within the ICH harmonization and quality vision framework. The main focus here is clearly defining roles and responsibilities to ensure quality and compliance. Quality assurance, or QA, acts as a system owner and serves as an independent reviewer, overseeing processes objectively. Operations teams are considered the practice owners and are responsible for creating records, meaning they handle the day-to-day execution and documentation. Then you have quality control and lab functions as the data and test integrity owners. They ensure the accuracy and reliability of test results and data integrity. Management plays a critical role as well, acting as a resource and risk decision owner. They're responsible for making key decisions related to resources and managing risks. A crucial point here is the need to clarify who approves, who performs tasks, who reviews those tasks, and who escalates issues if there are problems. Every process should have clearly defined roles with named decision makers, especially for cross-functional issues, so nothing falls through the cracks. Additionally, owners must be able to explain both the standard operating procedures and the associated record trails to maintain transparency and accountability. This clarity in role definition supports the broader ICH goal of harmonizing quality standards across functions, ultimately helping to maintain high-quality outcomes in pharmaceutical operations. Here, we focus on ICH harmonization and our quality vision, emphasizing useful metrics for management review. Some key metrics include open CAPA aging, which tracks how long corrective and preventive actions remain open, and change control cycle time, measuring the efficiency of implementing changes. We also monitor deviation recurrence to identify recurring issues, audit finding closure to ensure timely resolution, training effectiveness to gauge staff competency, and write first-time records to promote accuracy and reduce errors. Now, when evaluating these metrics, quality is essential. A good metric should have a clearly defined numerator and denominator, specify how often is measured, include thresholds for acceptable performance, and assign ownership and escalation pathways. Importantly, metrics should be analyzed as trends over time rather than just one-off snapshots. This approach helps turn repeated deviations into preventive actions, ensuring continuous improvement. Additionally, connecting these metrics directly to product quality and patient impact reinforces their value in safeguarding health outcomes. Let's discuss how the ICH harmonization and quality vision is reflected in your facility. Consider where an inspector might actually observe this concept in practice. Think about specific areas like particular room, a process that's critical, relevant records, or even the responsible owner overseeing that part of the operation. Next, reflect on what good evidence of compliance and quality would look like in that context. What documentation or observable behaviors would demonstrate that the ICH principles are truly embedded. Also, consider what might trigger a deviation, a corrective and preventive action, or even a change control. Identifying these triggers is key to maintaining and improving quality. Finally, as we capture this insight, think of one practical improvement action that could be logged for the site. This way, every observation can translate into a meaningful step forward, reinforcing the ICH harmonization and quality vision in your daily operations. Before an inspection, there are several critical actions we need to complete to ensure ICH harmonization and uphold our quality vision. First, it's essential to translate the relevant sections into site-specific standard operating procedure language. This step helps tailor the global guidelines to our local context, making them clear and actionable. Next, we assign one process owner and one QA reviewer for every deliverable, ensuring accountability and thorough quality checks. We also rely on trend data to identify which controls require management's attention, allowing us to focus our efforts where they matter most. Finally, we confirm that the final package is inspection-ready, fully approved, and easily retrievable. The output of this process is a signed and dated site-specific readiness package. This package includes clearly designated owners and an open actions tracker, which helps maintain transparency and follow up on any outstanding issues. This structured approach ensures we meet regulatory expectations and maintain a high standard of quality across all processes. Let's recap the key points from this section on ICH harmonization and quality vision. The core idea is that ICH Q10 establishes a comprehensive lifecycle quality vision. This vision is supported through development, manufacturing, and ongoing continual improvement processes. Importantly, lifecycle thinking connects the development and manufacturing stages, ensuring a seamless quality approach throughout. The ICH guidelines Q8, Q9, and Q10 are designed to work together and complement each other in this framework. For evidence, we have several key documents and tools, including the quality manual, an alignment memo that ties Q8, Q9, and Q10 together, a continual improvement register, and an overall lifecycle plan. The next step is crucial. We need to assign clear ownership for these initiatives and ensure that any open actions are completed. This will help maintain momentum and guarantee that quality practices continue evolving. Finally, with this, we successfully complete PharmaTalks Checkpoint 05, marking another important milestone in understanding ICH harmonization and the quality vision. In this section, we'll explore the relationship between good manufacturing practices, or GMPs, and the ICH Q10 guideline. While regional GMPs remain essential for ensuring compliance with local regulatory requirements, ICH Q10 brings an important added dimension by focusing on a product's life cycle and integrating a systems-based approach. This means it's not just about meeting standards at a single point in time, but managing quality throughout the entire process, from development through production and beyond. Our goal is that by the end of this section, you'll be able to take these regulatory concepts and translate them into concrete actions at the site level, establishing evidence, implementing controls, and assigning responsibilities effectively. This checkpoint is crucial for embedding quality into everyday practices and ensuring continuous improvement. Here, we're looking at the relationship between good manufacturing practices, or GMPs, and ICH Q10. It's important to understand that while ICH Q10 provides a comprehensive model for pharmaceutical quality systems, it is not itself a harmonized GMP standard. Regional GMP standards still apply and can vary by location. However, GMPs do provide critical guidance on the manufacturing and control of pharmaceutical products. They cover many of the essential elements needed to ensure product quality and safety throughout the manufacturing process. Essentially, GMPs focus specifically on manufacturing, while ICH Q10 offers a broader framework that spans the entire product lifecycle, but does not replace those regional standards. Understanding this distinction helps us appreciate how these two work together to maintain high standards in pharmaceutical production. On this slide, we're focusing on the relationship between good manufacturing practices, or GMPs, and ICH Q10. The key message here is that while regional GMPs remain essential and form the foundation of pharmaceutical manufacturing quality, ICH Q10 complements them by adding a life cycle and systems perspective. This means that GMPs continue to ensure that products are consistently produced and controlled according to quality standards. However, ICH Q10 introduces a broader approach that includes the entire product lifecycle, from development through manufacturing to discontinuation, plus ongoing management review processes. Importantly, ICH Q10 doesn't add new regulatory requirements. Instead, it provides a strong implementation model that helps organizations apply and maintain GMPs more effectively. It translates regulatory principles into everyday practices, making sure there are objective records and management reviews to support continual improvement. Understanding this relationship matters because it helps companies move from simply following rules to embedding quality deeply into their daily operations. This ensures better oversight, risk management, and ultimately higher product quality and patient safety. On this slide, we are focusing on the relationship between good manufacturing practices, or GMPs, and ICH Q10. It's important to understand that ICH Q10 is not a harmonized GMP standard itself. Instead, it serves as a framework that complements regional GMP regulations, which individually guide the manufacture and control of pharmaceutical products. One key point is that these regional GMPs do not currently apply across the entire product lifecycle. whereas ICHQ-10 aims to provide a more comprehensive approach. To make this clear at the site level, it's essential to translate these regulatory terms into the local language and define them clearly in quality manuals or SOP glossaries. This clarity helps staff understand the concepts fully. We also need to link these terms to objective records and acceptance criteria, ensuring that staff can explain these concepts effectively during inspections. Proper training with examples is crucial for this purpose. Overall, this slide emphasizes the distinct but complementary roles of GMPs and ICHQ-10 and highlights the importance of clear definitions and training to bridge the gap between regulatory expectations and practical implementation at the site. On this slide, we're focusing on the relationship between good manufacturing practices, or GMPs, and the ICHQ-10 quality model, looked at through a risk management perspective. The main risks we need to control include situations where GMP and Q10 processes are managed separately, which can lead to gaps. Also, corrective and preventive actions, or CAPA, tend to be reactive rather than proactive, and sometimes management ownership of quality issues is unclear, which can weaken accountability. The key question we need to ask is whether the site can demonstrate that risks are properly identified, ranked by severity, controlled effectively, monitored continuously, and reviewed regularly by the correct responsible party. To manage this well, it's important to apply quality risk management, or QRM, particularly when dealing with complex processes or those that have a significant impact on patient safety. The level of effort and documentation should be proportional to the risk involved, ensuring rationale is clear and evidence-based. Additionally, risk assessments and decisions should be revisited whenever there are changes in data, processes, or regulatory requirements to maintain ongoing control. Essentially, integrating GMP and ICHQ-10 within a risk management framework strengthens quality oversight and supports continuous improvement. This approach helps ensure that risks are not only controlled but managed in a way that aligns with patient safety and regulatory expectations. On this slide, we're focusing on the relationship between GMPs and ICHQ-10, especially from the perspective of maintaining inspection-ready evidence. To ensure compliance, it's crucial to have a well-organized evidence package. This typically includes key elements like a GMP compliance matrix, which maps out how your processes meet GMP requirements, a pharmaceutical quality system process map to visualize your quality management approach, a management review charter to show governance oversight, and CAPA trend data that tracks corrective and preventive actions over time. When it comes to file quality standards, each document needs to be approved, up-to-date, complete, traceable, easily retrievable, and fully aligned with what's actually practiced on the ground. This ensures transparency and readiness during inspections. A helpful practical tip is to create a one-page index for each section of your evidence and attach it to the audit room evidence folder, making navigation straightforward for auditors. This thoughtful organization supports demonstrating a strong, integrated quality system in line with both GMP and ICHQ-10 expectations. Here we see the relationship between good manufacturing practices, or GMPs, and ICHQ-10 illustrated as a process flow from signal to controlled action. It all starts with a signal, which can be any observation or data indicating a potential issue. This leads to assessment, where we evaluate the risk and potential impact of that signal. Based on this assessment, a decision is made to approve the appropriate path forward. Next comes execution, where control measures are implemented to address the issue. Finally, the process concludes with a review phase to identify trends and learn from the experience. Key points to note include making every handoff documented and time-bound, using quality assurance not just to collect signatures, but to verify the process, and escalating repeated signals to management for review. This structured approach ensures a robust system for managing quality risks and continuous improvement. Let's take a closer look at the relationship between GMPs and ICHQ-10, focusing on the suggested accountability model. Quality assurance acts as a system owner and also serves as an independent reviewer, ensuring compliance and oversight. Operations, on the other hand, are the practice owners and record creators responsible for executing procedures and maintaining accurate documentation. In the QC and lab departments, their primary role is to own data and test integrity, which is crucial for reliable product quality. Management holds the responsibility for resource allocation and risk-related decisions, guiding the overall strategic direction. It's important to clearly define who approves actions, who performs the tasks, who reviews the outputs, and who escalates issues if needed. Each owner must be able to explain both the standard operating procedures and the associated record trail. Finally, any cross-functional issues must have a designated decision maker to avoid ambiguity and ensure accountability. This model strengthens the integration of GMPs and ICH Q10 principles by reinforcing ownership and clear communication throughout the process. Here, we're focusing on the relationship between GMPs and ICH Q10, specifically looking at useful metrics for management review. These metrics help us monitor and improve the quality system effectively. For example, tracking open CAPA aging allows us to see how long corrective and preventive actions remain unresolved, which is crucial for timely issue resolution. Change control cycle time shows us how efficiently changes are implemented, while deviation recurrence highlights whether problems are recurring and need further investigation. Audit finding closure measures how quickly we address and resolve issues found during audits, ensuring compliance. Training effectiveness ensures our staff are properly skilled and knowledgeable. Lastly, right first time records indicate how often processes are done correctly without the need for rework, directly impacting overall quality. When assessing the quality of these metrics, it's important that each has a clear numerator and denominator, a defined frequency for measurement, a threshold to trigger action, an assigned owner responsible for metric, and an escalation path if issues arise. This structure ensures consistency and accountability. Additionally, it's vital to look at trends over time rather than isolated data points. By monitoring trends, we can identify patterns and take preventive actions before problems escalate. Linking these metrics directly to product quality and patient impact makes sure our efforts always focus on delivering safe, effective products. Here, we're focusing on the relationship between good manufacturing practices and the ICH Q10 guidelines. I want you to think about your own facility and consider where an inspector might actually observe this relationship in practice. Start by identifying a specific room, process, record, and the person responsible for that area. This helps us pinpoint precisely where compliance is demonstrated. Next, consider what good evidence looks like. What documentation, behaviors, or controls clearly show that both GMPs and ICH Q10 principles are being upheld. Also, reflect on what kind of issues or deviations would prompt corrective and preventive actions or the initiation of change control. Understanding these triggers is crucial for maintaining quality and compliance. Finally, capture one improvement action that could be added to your site's action log to enhance this relationship further. This exercise helps bridge theory with real-world application, ensuring we're all aligned on how these standards work together in practice. Here, we're focusing on the actions that need to be completed before an inspection related to GMPs and the ICH Q10 relationship. First, it's essential to translate this relationship into site-specific SOP language, ensuring the guidelines are clear and applicable to your particular environment. Next, assign a dedicated process owner and a QA reviewer for every deliverable to maintain accountability and quality oversight. Using trend data to identify which controls require management's attention allows for proactive management and continuous improvement. Finally, confirm that the entire package is inspection-ready, meaning it is fully approved, signed, dated, and easily retrievable. The output of these efforts is a clear, site-specific readiness package with identified owners and an open actions tracker, ensuring transparency and preparedness for inspection. Let's recap the relationship between GMPs and ICH Q10. The core idea here is that regional good manufacturing practices, or GMPs, continue to be essential. However, ICH Q10 complements them by adding a life cycle and systems perspective, helping to ensure comprehensive quality management throughout the product's entire life cycle. When it comes to controls, GMP remains our foundational framework. ICH Q10 doesn't introduce new requirements, but enhances the approach by incorporating lifecycle systems and management review processes. This integration strengthens our overall quality system. As evidence of this relationship in practice, we look at tools like the GMP Compliance Matrix, the Pharmaceutical Quality System Process Map, Management Review Charters, and CAPA trend analyses. These elements help us monitor and support continuous improvement. The next step is to assign clear ownership of tasks and close any open actions to ensure effective implementation. That completes our Pharma Talks Checkpoint 06 on the relationship between GMPs and ICH-Q10. In this section, we'll explore the structure and scope of ICH-Q10. This guideline addresses the entire life cycle of pharmaceutical products, covering key stages such as development, technology transfer, commercial manufacturing, and even product discontinuation. Our focus will be on understanding how to translate these regulatory concepts into practical actions at the site level. By the end of this section, you'll be equipped to implement appropriate evidence gathering, controls, and ownership responsibilities that align with ICH-Q10 requirements. This ensures not only compliance, but also enhances product quality and consistency throughout its life cycle. On this slide, we're taking a closer look at the structure and scope of ICH-Q10. The source highlights several key components that define the guideline. First, there's the introduction, which sets the stage for the entire framework. Next, the scope outlines the applicability and reach of the guideline within the pharmaceutical industry. Then, there's the pharmaceutical quality system, which is central to ensuring consistent product quality throughout the product lifecycle. Management responsibility is another crucial element. It emphasizes the role of leadership in maintaining and supporting the quality system. Lastly, management and continual improvement of product quality focus on the ongoing efforts to enhance processes and outcomes. These elements together establish a comprehensive approach to pharmaceutical quality, ensuring safety, efficacy, and compliance. This snapshot gives us a clear overview of ICH-Q10's foundation and helps us understand the main priorities it addresses. Now, let's take a closer look at the structure and scope of ICH-Q10. The key operating idea here is that ICH-Q10 spans the entire product lifecycle, from development and technology transfer to commercial manufacturing and ultimately discontinuation. This means the scope covers all these critical stages, ensuring comprehensive quality management. Importantly, the systems outlined in ICH-Q10 apply not just to one-part process, but across various facilities, equipment, and laboratories. Technology transfer, in particular, is emphasized as a controlled movement of knowledge, ensuring consistency and quality as products move between stages or sites. Why does this matter? Because ICH-Q10 translates broad regulatory principles into everyday actions. It guides the creation of objective records, supports routine management reviews, and helps embed quality into daily operations. This makes it easier for organizations to maintain compliance while continuously improving their processes. On this slide, we're focusing on the structure and scope of ICH-Q10, specifically looking at how key terms and definitions are handled. It's important to translate these terms into the local site language so that everyone understands them clearly. When dealing with regulatory phrases, accuracy and clarity are crucial. ICH-Q10 structure includes elements like the introduction, scope, evidence, and the pharmaceutical quality system itself. Each term should be clearly defined, usually in the quality manual or the SOP glossary, so there's no ambiguity. We need to ensure that these definitions are linked to objective records and acceptance criteria, which helps maintain consistency and compliance. Training personnel with examples is also vital, empowering them to confidently explain these concepts during inspections. This proactive approach supports a shared understanding across the site, enhances communication, and ensures regulatory expectations are met. On this slide, we're focusing on the structure and scope of ICH-Q10 through a risk management lens. The main risks that need careful control include the loss of development knowledge during transfer processes, incomplete discontinuation files, and gaps in scope between different functions. These risks can lead to significant issues if not properly managed. The key risk control question we ask is whether the site can demonstrate that the risk has been clearly identified, appropriately ranked, controlled, monitored, and regularly reviewed by the correct owner. This ensures accountability and effective management. To address these risks effectively, it's important to use quality risk management, especially when dealing with high complexity or impacts on patients. The rationale behind risk decisions must be proportional to the risk and thoroughly documented. Also, risk decisions shouldn't remain static. They need to be reviewed whenever there are changes in data processes, or regulations. This approach helps maintain compliance and promotes continuous improvement. Here, we focus on the ICHQ-10 structure and scope, particularly highlighting what constitutes an inspection-ready evidence package. A key component is having a comprehensive lifecycle stage map, which outlines each phase of the product's development and maintenance. Alongside this, the transfer package, product knowledge file, and discontinuation plan are essential documents that support a transparent and thorough quality system. Moving to file quality standards, it's crucial that each file is approved, current, complete, traceable, and easy to retrieve. They must also accurately reflect actual practice to ensure compliance and facilitate audits. A practical tip to streamline audits is to create a one-page index for each section. Attaching this index to the audit room evidence folder helps auditors quickly navigate the materials, making the inspection process smoother and more efficient. Here, we're looking at the ICHQ-10 structure and scope through a process flow that moves from signal detection to controlled action. It all starts with a signal, which can be any observation or data indicating a potential issue. Once a signal is identified, it undergoes a thorough assessment to evaluate the risk and impact associated with it. Based on that assessment, a decision is made on the appropriate path forward, which requires approval to proceed. Following approval, the execution phase involves implementing the necessary controls to address the issue effectively. Importantly, this process doesn't end with implementation. It includes a review stage where trends are analyzed and lessons are learned to prevent recurrence. Throughout this entire flow, it's crucial to document every handoff and ensure that each step is time-bound to maintain accountability. Quality assurance plays a vital role, not just by collecting signatures, but by actively verifying that each part of the process is functioning as intended. Additionally, if signals occur repeatedly, escalating them for management review ensures that systemic issues are addressed at a higher level. This structured approach supports a robust quality management system, helping to maintain product quality and patient safety consistently. On this slide, we focus on the ICHQ-10 structure and the suggested accountability model within a pharmaceutical quality system. The key idea here is defining clear roles and responsibilities to ensure quality and compliance. For quality assurance, we have the system owner and an independent reviewer responsible for overseeing processes and providing objective evaluations. In operations, the practice owner and record creator are accountable for executing procedures and maintaining accurate documentation. For QC and the laboratory, the data and test integrity owner ensures that all test results are reliable and properly recorded. Management holds a critical role as a resource and risk decision owner, making strategic decisions about resource allocation and risk management. It's essential to clarify exactly who approves, performs reviews, and escalates tasks within the system. Every owner should be able to explain both the standard operating procedure and the associated record trail. Importantly, no cross-functional issues should be left without a designated decision maker to maintain accountability and prevent confusion. This structure helps maintain transparency and accountability across all phases of the quality management process. Let's focus on some useful metrics for management review within the ICHQ-10 structure. These metrics help us monitor key quality and process indicators effectively. For example, tracking open CAPA aging gives insight into how long corrective and preventive actions remain unresolved. Change control cycle time measures how efficiently changes are implemented. Deviation recurrence helps us understand if issues are occurring, which could signal deeper problems. Monitoring audit finding closure ensures that all identified issues are addressed promptly. Training effectiveness is vital to confirm that staff are well prepared, and right first-time records help assess the accuracy and quality of documentation on initial attempts. Now, how do we know if a metric is good? A strong metric has clear components, a defined numerator and denominator to quantify the measure, a specific frequency for data collection, set thresholds to trigger action, an assigned owner responsible for metric, and a clear escalation path if issues arise. It's also important to look at trends over time rather than isolated data points. This approach allows us to identify patterns and turn repeated drifts into preventive actions before they escalate. Lastly, linking these metrics back to product quality and patient impact is crucial, as ultimately, Our priority is ensuring the highest standards for the products and the safety of patients. Here, we're focusing on the practical application of the ICH-Q10 structure and scope concept within your facility. Think about where an inspector would actually see these principles in action. Consider specific areas like a particular room or process, the associated records, and who owns them. It's important to identify what good evidence looks like in these contexts. This could be well-maintained documentation or consistent process control. Also, reflect on what kinds of situations might lead to a deviation, a CAPA, or a change control. Finally, think about one improvement action that could be added to your site's action log to enhance compliance or efficiency. This exercise helps ground the ICH-Q10 framework in real-world practice. Before an inspection, there are several important actions we need to complete to ensure readiness under the ICH-Q10 structure and scope. First, we translate the relevant section into site-specific SOP language. This makes sure the procedures are clear and tailored to our operations. Next, we assign a dedicated process owner and a QA reviewer to every deliverable. This establishes accountability and oversight for each task. We also use trend data to identify which controls need management's focus, allowing us to prioritize effectively. Finally, we confirm that the entire package is inspection-ready, approved, and easily retrievable. The output from these steps is a signed and dated, site-specific readiness package that clearly identifies owners and includes an open actions tracker. This comprehensive approach ensures we're fully prepared for inspection and can demonstrate strong compliance management. Let's recap the key points of ICH-Q10 structure and scope. The core idea here is that ICH-Q10 applies throughout the entire product lifecycle, covering development, transfer, commercial manufacturing, and even the discontinuation stages. This means the controls and systems described aren't limited to just one part of the process, but span across all facilities, equipment, and operational aspects from start to finish. We have several pieces of evidence that support this lifecycle approach, including the lifecycle stage map, the transfer package, the product knowledge file, and the discontinuation plan. Each of these components helps ensure a smooth and controlled progression through each phase, maintaining quality and compliance. Our next step is to assign clear ownership among team members and close any open actions to keep everything on track. With this section complete, we've reached PharmaTalks Checkpoint 07, moving us closer to fully understanding ICH-Q10's comprehensive framework. In this section, we'll focus on the Pharmaceutical Quality System, or PQS, objectives and the role of quality risk management. The main goals of the PQS are to ensure successful product realization, maintain a state of control, and drive continual improvement. Essentially, we want to reliably produce high-quality products, keep processes stable and predictable, and continuously enhance our systems. By the end of this section, you'll be equipped to translate regulatory expectations into practical site-level evidence, implement effective controls, and take ownership of necessary actions to uphold quality standards. This is a critical step in embedding quality into every part of our operations. On this slide, we're focusing on the key objectives of the Pharmaceutical Quality System, or PQS, along with the importance of quality risk management. The first objective is achieving product realization. This means establishing and maintaining a system that ensures the delivery of products with the right quality attributes, meeting the needs of patients and other stakeholders. Essentially, it's about consistently producing safe and effective products. The second objective is to establish and maintain a state of control. This involves developing and using effective monitoring and control systems throughout the manufacturing process to ensure everything stays within defined quality parameters. By doing this, we can proactively manage risks and maintain product quality at every stage. These principles are central to a robust PQS and critical for safeguarding patient health. Let's talk about the key objectives of the Pharmaceutical Quality System and how quality risk management fits into that framework. The main goals here are product realization, maintaining a state of control, and driving continual improvement. Product realization means delivering products that truly meet patient needs, which is our ultimate focus. To achieve this, maintaining a state of control is essential. It involves ongoing monitoring and control measures to ensure consistent quality. Quality risk management, or QRM, helps pinpoint where our control efforts need to be strongest, so we can effectively mitigate risks before they impact the product or patient safety. Why does this matter? Because these objectives translate a broad regulatory principle into practical, everyday activities. They guide behaviors, ensure that records are objective and reliable, and provide critical inputs for management reviews. In essence, this approach integrates compliance into the fabric of daily operations, supporting both product quality and patient safety. On this slide, we focus on the key objectives of the Pharmaceutical Quality System, or PQS, and the importance of quality risk management definitions. The main goal here is to achieve product realization, which means establishing, implementing, and maintaining a system that consistently delivers products with the right quality attributes to meet patient needs and satisfy other stakeholders. It's crucial to translate regulatory terms into the site's language to ensure clear understanding. This means defining terms clearly in the quality manual or SOP glossary, linking these definitions to objective records and acceptance criteria, and providing training with real examples. This way, staff can confidently explain these concepts during inspections. Essentially, clear communication and thorough understanding of PQS objectives help maintain product quality and regulatory compliance effectively. On this slide, we're focusing on the main objectives of a pharmaceutical quality system and how quality risk management, or QRM, plays a critical role in managing risks. The key risks we need to control include situations where the QRM scoring isn't well justified, where the control strategy isn't clearly linked to the identified risks, and where monitoring efforts don't provide statistically meaningful data. The essential question here is whether the site can truly demonstrate that each risk is properly identified, prioritized, controlled, continuously monitored, and reviewed by the appropriate responsible person. To do this effectively, we should apply quality risk management, especially in cases where the process complexity is high or when the risks have a significant potential impact on patient safety. It's also important that the rationale behind our risk decisions is proportional to the level of risk and backed up by documented knowledge. Additionally, as new data, changes in processes, or updates in regulations occur, the risk decisions must be revisited and adjusted accordingly. This approach ensures that our quality system remains robust and responsive. Here, we focus on the objectives of the pharmaceutical quality system and how quality risk management plays a critical role in maintaining compliance. The goal is to have an inspection-ready evidence package that clearly documents critical quality attributes and critical process parameters. This package should also include a thorough risk assessment, a well-defined control strategy, and a detailed monitoring plan. When it comes to file quality, every document must meet high standards. It needs to be approved, up-to-date, complete, traceable, and easy to retrieve. Importantly, all records should accurately reflect actual practice. A helpful tip to streamline audits is to create a simple one-page index for each section and attach it to the audit room evidence folder, making it easier for inspectors to find what they need quickly. This approach ensures transparency and readiness at all times. Here, we're looking at the process flow from receiving a signal to taking a controlled action within the PQS objectives and quality risk management framework. It starts with a signal, which can be an observation or collected data indicating a potential issue. This signal then undergoes an assessment phase, where we evaluate the associated risks and potential impacts. Following this assessment, a decision is made to approve the appropriate path forward. Once approved, the execution phase begins, where we implement the necessary controls to manage the risk. After implementation, it's crucial to review the results by trending the data and learning from the outcomes to continuously improve the process. Key to this flow is ensuring that every handoff is documented and time-bound, maintaining accountability throughout. Quality assurance plays an active role, verifying the process beyond just collecting signatures. Finally, any repeated signals must be escalated for management review, ensuring serious issues receive the attention they require. This structured approach helps maintain control and drive continuous quality improvement. On this slide, we're focusing on the accountability model within the Pharmaceutical Quality System, or PQS, and how it relates to quality risk management. First, it's important to identify the key roles involved. Quality assurance, or QA, acts as the system owner and also serves as an independent reviewer, ensuring compliance and integrity. Operations teams are the practice owners and record creators, meaning they handle daily processes and maintain accurate documentation. Quality control and laboratory personnel are responsible for data and test integrity, verifying that all results are accurate and reliable. Finally, management holds a responsibility for resources and risk-related decisions, guiding the team based on overall organizational priorities. A critical part of this model is clearly defining accountability: who approves processes, who performs the work, who reviews it, and who escalates issues if they arise. Each process should have an owner who can explain both the standard operating procedures and the supporting records. This clarity prevents gaps in responsibility, especially in cross-functional matters, by ensuring there is always a designated decision maker. This approach strengthens quality assurance and risk management throughout the entire system. Let's take a closer look at some key metrics that are essential for effective management review in a pharmaceutical quality system. These include open CAPA aging, which helps us track how long corrective and preventive actions remain unresolved. Change control cycle time measures the efficiency of our process changes. Deviation recurrence tracks how often similar issues repeat, highlighting areas for improvement. We also monitor audit finding closure to ensure timely resolution of identified issues, training effectiveness to assess staff competency, and write first-time records to measure the accuracy and quality of documentation. Now, what makes a good metric? It should have clearly defined components like a numerator, denominator, frequency of measurement, threshold values for acceptable performance, an assigned owner responsible for the metric, and a clear escalation path if targets are missed. This structure ensures consistency and accountability. Furthermore, it's important that we analyze metrics as trends over time rather than isolated snapshots. This approach helps us identify patterns and take proactive, preventive actions before issues become critical. Finally, linking these metrics directly to product quality and patient impact ensures that our measurement efforts drive meaningful improvements in safety and effectiveness. Let's think about how the PQS objectives and quality risk management principles are actually applied in your facility. Consider where an inspector might see these concepts in action. This could be a specific room, a process, a record, or even linked to a particular owner. Next, think about what strong evidence would look like in that context. How would you demonstrate that these principles are effectively implemented? Also, reflect on what conditions might trigger a deviation, a CAPA, or a change control. Finally, capture one improvement action based on this discussion to add to the site action log. This exercise helps us connect theory with practice and continuously improve our quality systems. Before the inspection, there are several important actions we need to complete to ensure everything is in order. First, we translate the PQS objectives and quality risk management sections into site-specific SOP language. This step is crucial because it tailors the general guidelines to our unique site processes, making them clear and actionable. Next, we assign one process owner and one QA reviewer to every deliverable. This ensures accountability and thorough oversight throughout all stages. We also use trend data to determine which controls need management's attention. This targeted focus helps us address potential issues proactively. Finally, we confirm that the entire package is inspection-ready, fully approved, and easy retrievable. The output of these efforts should be a signed and dated readiness package specific to our site, with clear ownership identified, and an open actions tracker to monitor ongoing tasks. This structured preparation is key to a successful inspection and maintaining quality compliance. Let's review the key points around PQS objectives and quality risk management. The core idea centers on three main objectives: product realization, maintaining a state of control, and driving continual improvement. Product realization is all about meeting patient needs effectively. To achieve a state of control, it's essential to have robust monitoring and control systems in place. We rely on evidence like critical quality attributes and critical process parameters, combined with thorough risk assessments, to develop a strong control strategy and monitoring plan. Moving forward, the important next step is to assign clear ownership for these tasks and close any open actions. This completes our Pharma Talks Checkpoint 08 on PQS objectives and quality risk management. In this section, we will focus on the key elements of the pharmaceutical quality system, or PQS, specifically monitoring, CAPA, and change control. These four elements work together to translate quality signals into actionable steps. Monitoring helps us keep a close eye on processes to detect deviations early. CAPA, which stands for Corrective and Preventive Action, addresses any issues found by identifying their root causes and preventing recurrence. Change control ensures that any modifications are managed and assessed properly to avoid unintended risks. By the end of this section, you will be able to take these regulatory concepts and apply them practically at the site level, including developing evidence, implementing controls, and assigning responsibilities. This is essential for maintaining a robust quality system that supports continuous improvement and compliance. Let's focus on the key elements of the Pharmaceutical Quality System, or PQS. The PQS is built around four main components, and today we'll emphasize three of them: monitoring, corrective, and preventive actions, commonly known as CAPA, and change management. First, the process performance and product quality monitoring system is essential. This element ensures that we continuously track the manufacturing processes and product quality to detect any variations early and maintain high standards. Next, the CAPA system plays a critical role. It involves identifying issues, investigating their root causes, and implementing corrective actions to fix existing problems, as well as preventive measures to avoid future occurrences. This systematic approach helps in maintaining compliance and improving overall quality. Lastly, managing change effectively is crucial to ensure that any modifications in processes, equipment, or procedures do not negatively impact product quality. Proper documentation and evaluation of changes help maintain consistency and control. These three elements, monitoring, CAPA, and change management, are fundamental pillars that support a robust pharmaceutical quality system. They work together to ensure high-quality products and continuous improvement within pharmaceutical manufacturing. Here we focus on the key elements of the pharmaceutical quality system: monitoring, CAPA, and change control. These four components work together to transform quality signals into actionable steps. Monitoring involves turning raw data into an effective control strategy, ensuring that processes stay within desired parameters. CAPA, or corrective and preventive action, helps us investigate issues thoroughly and prevent them from happening again. Change control is critical for protecting the authorization and ensuring any modifications stay within the approved design space. So why does this matter? Because it takes a fundamental regulatory principle and translates it into everyday behaviors, objective record keeping, and management reviews. These are the practical tools that keep quality systems robust and aligned with regulatory expectations. Understanding and applying these elements consistently helps maintain product quality and patient safety. On this slide, we're focusing on the key elements of the Pharmaceutical Quality System, or PQS, specifically monitoring, CAPA, and change management. It's important to start by translating these terms into the local site language to ensure everyone fully understands their meaning and implications within the site context. We emphasize defining each term clearly in the Quality Manual or SOP glossary. This means linking the term to objective evidence, such as records and acceptance criteria, that can be reviewed during inspections. Personnel should also be trained with examples so that they can confidently explain these concepts when asked. The PQS essentially consists of four elements. One crucial element is the process performance and product quality monitoring system, which helps us track how well processes are performing and whether the product quality meets the set standards. Ownership is another vital part, meaning that specific individuals or teams are accountable for these processes. Evidence supporting these activities must be maintained to demonstrate compliance and effectiveness. Overall, this approach ensures that everyone understands the terminology in the same way, backed by clear documentation, training, and evidence, which is critical during regulatory inspections and for maintaining high-quality standards. On this slide, we're focusing on three key elements within the pharmaceutical quality system: monitoring, CAPA, and change, viewed through a risk lens. The main risks to control here include a weak root cause analysis in CAPA, incomplete assessment of change impacts, and failure to review monitoring data effectively. A critical question to ask is whether the site can demonstrate that risks are properly identified, ranked, controlled, monitored, and reviewed by the appropriate owner. To manage this effectively, it's important to apply quality risk management, or QRM, especially when dealing with complex situations or those that could impact patients. The rationale behind risk decisions should be proportional to the level of risk and thoroughly documented. Additionally, these risk assessments and decisions should be revisited whenever there are changes in data, processes, or regulations. This approach ensures a robust control environment that maintains product quality and patient safety. Let's focus on the key PQS elements related to monitoring, CAPA, and change management, emphasizing the importance of having an inspection-ready evidence package. This package typically includes documents like the annual product review or product quality review, the CAPA files, change control records, and minutes from management review meetings. These components together provide a comprehensive view of how quality is maintained and improved. It's crucial that each file meets a high-quality standard. That means every document should be approved, up to date, complete, traceable, easy to retrieve, and accurately reflect actual practice within the organization. Ensuring this consistency supports both compliance and efficient audits. A useful tip here is to create a one-page index for each section and attach it to the audit room evidence folder. This helps keep everything organized and accessible, making audits smoother and demonstrating readiness at any time. Overall, maintaining strong documentation is vital to showing effective implementation of monitoring, CAPA, and change control processes. Here, we're looking at the critical elements of the pharmaceutical quality system, focusing on monitoring, CAPA, and change management through a clear process flow. It all starts with a signal, which can be any observation or data point that raises a flag. From there, we conduct an assessment to understand the risk and potential impact involved. Once the risk is evaluated, a decision is made, and the appropriate path is approved. This leads to execution, where controls are implemented to address the issue effectively. Finally, the process includes a review stage, where trends are analyzed and lessons are learned to continuously improve the system. It's important to make sure every handoff in this process is documented thoroughly and has a clear time frame. Quality assurance should actively verify that the process is working properly, not just gather signatures. And if signals keep recurring, they must be escalated to management for higher level review. This structured approach ensures we maintain control and drive continuous improvement within our quality system. On this slide, we're focusing on the key elements of the pharmaceutical quality system, specifically monitoring, CAPA, and change management, along with a suggested accountability model for these processes. It's essential to clearly define roles to ensure smooth operation and effective oversight. First, we have quality assurance, which acts as the system owner and independent reviewer. Their role is to maintain system integrity and provide an unbiased assessment. Next, operations involve the practice owner and records creator, the people directly responsible for the execution and documentation of tasks. In the QC or laboratory area, the crucial role is the data and test integrity owner, ensuring that the data collected is accurate and trustworthy. Management carries the responsibility of being the resource and risk decision owner, overseeing risk management and resource allocation to support quality objectives. A key takeaway here is the importance of clarifying who approves, who performs, who reviews, and who escalates each stage of the process. Every owner must be able to explain both the standard operating procedure and the corresponding record trail. Finally, it's critical not to leave any cross-functional issues without a clearly named decision-maker. This setup guarantees accountability and smooth resolution of any challenges. This suggested accountability model is designed to strengthen quality oversight and ensure that every element of monitoring, CAPA, and change is managed effectively. On this slide, we're focusing on key elements of the pharmaceutical quality system, particularly monitoring, CAPA, and change management. One of the critical tools for management review is the use of useful metrics. These metrics include things like open CAPA aging, which helps us track how long corrective and preventive actions remain unresolved. We also look at change control cycle time, deviation recurrence, audit finding closure rates, training effectiveness, and right first-time records. These metrics give a comprehensive view of system performance. But it's not just about having metrics. Quality metrics must be well defined. A good metric needs a clear numerator and denominator, a set frequency for measurement, established thresholds to trigger action, an assigned owner, and a defined escalation path if issues arise. This ensures consistency and accountability. Moreover, metrics are most valuable when they show trends over time rather than just snapshots. Tracking trends helps us identify repeated drifts and take preventive actions before problems escalate. Importantly, each metric should be linked to product quality and patient impact, ensuring that our focus remains on delivering safe and effective products. This approach strengthens our pharmaceutical quality system and supports continuous improvement. Let's consider where an inspector might observe key pharmaceutical quality system elements like monitoring, CAPA, and change management in your facility. Think about specific rooms, processes, records, and who is responsible for them. For example, monitoring might be evident in the quality control lab, with records of environmental conditions and equipment calibration. CAPA would typically be seen in areas handling deviations, where investigations and corrective actions are documented. Change management usually comes into play when process updates or equipment modifications occur, and corresponding change control documentation is maintained. Good evidence involves clear, traceable records showing consistent adherence to procedures. As for triggers, anything from unexpected results, nonconformances, or new regulatory requirements could initiate a deviation CAPA or change control. Finally, identify one improvement action you can add to the site action log to enhance these PQS elements. This reflection helps us strengthen our quality system by ensuring we know exactly where and how these critical processes work in practice. Here, we're focusing on the key PQS elements: monitoring, CAPA, and change or implementation, and essential actions that need to be completed before an inspection. First, it's important to translate these elements into site-specific SOP language. This ensures that every procedure is clear and tailored to your particular operations. Next, assign one process owner and one QA reviewer for each deliverable. This dual accountability helps maintain oversight and quality. Then, use trend data to identify which controls need management's attention. This proactive approach allows you to address issues before they escalate. Finally, confirm that the entire package is inspection ready. It should be fully approved and easy to retrieve. The output we aim for is a signed and dated readiness package that is specific to your site, with clearly defined owners and an active tracker for any open actions. This structure not only supports compliance, but also enhances operational clarity and readiness. Here, we recap the key elements of the pharmaceutical quality system that we've covered. The core idea is that these four PQS elements, monitoring, CAPA, change control, and review, work together to transform quality signals into effective actions. Monitoring helps us analyze data and shape our control strategies. CAPA, or corrective and preventive actions, focuses on investigating issues deeply and preventing them from happening again. Change control ensures any modifications are properly managed, and management review brings everything together to maintain oversight. Evidence of these processes includes documents like APRs and PQRs, CAPA files, change control records, and management review minutes. Moving forward, our next step is to assign owners to these activities and close out any open actions to keep the system robust and effective. This completes our Pharma Talks Checkpoint 09. In this section, we focus on management review and its applicability within the pharmaceutical quality system. A key point here is the vital role of senior management ownership. When leadership takes responsibility and stays engaged, it makes the pharmaceutical quality system both practical and sustainable over time. This isn't just about compliance. It's about embedding quality into the everyday operations of the site. By the end of this section, you'll be equipped to translate regulatory requirements into concrete, site-level actions. This means understanding how to provide evidence, implement controls, and assign ownership effectively. Ultimately, this ensures that regulatory expectations are met not just on paper, but through real, ongoing management oversight. Remember, management review isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process that drives continuous improvement and aligns the quality system with business goals. Let's focus on a management review and its applicability, as well as the key points emphasized by the source. The management review is a critical process that evaluates both process performance and product quality. It's not just a routine check. It should comprehensively cover the outcomes of regulatory inspections, any findings from those inspections, as well as audits and other assessments. This ensures that the company meets its commitments to regulatory authorities effectively. Additionally, periodic quality reviews play a vital role in this process. These reviews are ongoing evaluations that help maintain and improve product quality over time. By consistently monitoring these areas, management can identify potential issues early and take corrective actions promptly, maintaining compliance and ensuring product reliability. This proactive approach is essential for sustaining high standards in pharmaceutical manufacturing and regulatory adherence. Here, we focus on the critical role of management review and applicability within the pharmaceutical quality system. The key idea is that strong ownership by senior management, combined with applying the system throughout the product lifecycle, ensures the PQS remains practical and sustainable over time. First, management reviews play a vital role by taking observations and converting them into actionable decisions. This means that issues detected during operations are not just noted, but actually addressed to improve quality. Next, applicability spans from validation all the way through to batch release, making sure that quality controls are relevant and effective at every stage. Importantly, senior management sets the tone for quality culture. Their commitment influences how quality is prioritized and maintained across the organization. Why does this matter? Because this section transforms a broad regulatory principle into everyday actions, concrete behaviors, clear records, and meaningful inputs for management reviews. This ensures that quality isn't just a theoretical concept, but an integral part of daily operations. When we talk about management review and applicability, it's essential to ensure that all terms are clearly translated into the site's language. This helps everyone understand the regulatory phrases and key concepts accurately. One of the main focuses here is the management review of process performance and product quality. Sites need to define what these terms mean within their specific context, and this should be documented either in the quality manual or the SOP glossary. It's also important to link these terms to objective records and acceptance criteria. That way, there's clear evidence backing up any assessments, whether from regulatory inspections, audits, or other evaluations. Training is a critical part of this process. Personnel should be equipped with examples that help them explain these concepts clearly during inspection. Ultimately, this approach ensures that the ownership of this process is shared and responsibilities are well defined, enhancing compliance and continuous improvement. On this slide, we're focusing on the management review process and how it relates to controlling risk effectively. One major concern is that management reviews can become merely ceremonial, losing their practical impact. It's also common for metrics to lack clear thresholds, which makes it hard to determine when action is needed. Another risk is that inspection commitments aren't consistently tracked, creating gaps in compliance and oversight. The key risk control question here is whether the site can truly demonstrate that risks are identified, prioritized, controlled, monitored, and regularly reviewed by the appropriate owner. This means there needs to be clear accountability and a structured approach to risk management. To address these challenges, it's important to use quality risk management, or QRM, especially in situations where the process is complex or when patient impact is high. The rationale behind risk decisions should be proportional to the level of risk, based on documented knowledge, and always reviewed if there's a change in data, processes, or regulations. This keeps the risk management process dynamic and responsive, ensuring it continues to serve its intended purpose. Let's talk about the management review and how it applies, as well as the kind of evidence you need to have ready. First, an inspection-ready evidence package is key. This means you should have a well-organized review agenda that covers everything important. Make sure to include quality metrics that show how well processes are performing, resource decisions that explain how personnel and materials are allocated, and batch release governance that ensures only compliant products are released. Now, about file quality standards. Every file you maintain should be approved current, complete, traceable, easily retrievable, and importantly, aligned with actual practice. This ensures transparency and reliability during audits. Here's a practical tip from PharmaTalks. Create a one-page index for each section and attach it to the audit room evidence folder. This makes navigation smoother and helps auditors find what they need quickly. Overall, these steps help maintain a robust management review process and make audits more efficient. Here we have the management review and applicability process flow, outlining how we move from an initial signal to a controlled action. It starts with the signal itself, which could be an observation or data point that raises a concern or highlights an issue. Next comes the assessment phase, where we evaluate the risk and potential impact of that signal. Based on this assessment, a decision is made about the appropriate course of action, whether that means approving a certain path forward or requiring further steps. Once the decision is made, we proceed to execution by implementing the necessary controls to address the issue. After implementation, the process doesn't end there. We conduct a review to analyze trends and learn from the outcome. This continuous review helps improve future responses. It's important to make every handoff in this process both documented and time-bound to maintain clarity and accountability. Quality assurance should be used to verify the process itself, not just to collect signatures. Also, any repeated signals need to be escalated for management review to ensure that systemic issues are addressed promptly. This approach ensures a thorough, efficient, and responsive management review process. On this slide, we're focusing on the management review process and the roles involved to ensure accountability. The suggested accountability model breaks down responsibilities clearly across different functions. For quality assurance, there's a system owner and an independent reviewer who oversee the processes. In operations, the practice owner and record creator are responsible for the hands-on tasks. The QC or lab side has the data and test integrity owner, ensuring data accuracy and reliability. Management hold the resource and risk decision owner role, making critical decisions related to resources and risks. It's important to clarify exactly who approves, performs reviews, and escalates each step. Every owner must be able to explain both the standard operating procedure and the corresponding record trail to maintain transparency. We must also avoid leaving any cross-functional issues without a clearly identified decision-maker to prevent confusion and delays. This structured approach ensures efficient management review and effective applicability across teams. Let's talk about key metrics that are useful for management review. These include open CAPA aging, which helps us track how long corrective and preventive actions remain unresolved, and change control cycle time, measuring how efficiently we implement changes. We also monitor deviation recurrence to identify repeated issues, audit finding closure to ensure we address inspection observations promptly, training effectiveness to confirm our teams are properly prepared, and write first-time records that reflect the accuracy of our documentation. Now, when it comes to evaluating these metrics, a good metric must have a clearly defined numerator and denominator to ensure precise measurement. It should specify frequency, so we know how often to review the data, and it needs an established threshold or target. Each metric must have an owner responsible for monitoring it and an escalation path if things go off track. We should always look at trends over time rather than isolated snapshots to understand if we're improving or slipping. If we see repeated deviations, we must transform those insights into preventive actions instead of just reactive fixes. Importantly, these metrics should always tie back to product quality and patient impact, reinforcing that everything we measure has a purpose in safeguarding both. Let's take a moment to think about how the concept of management review and applicability actually shows up in your facility. Imagine you're an inspector walking through. Where would you see this process in action? Try to identify the specific room or area, the process involved, the records that demonstrate compliance, and who is responsible for it. Next, consider what good evidence looks like in this context. What documentation or practices clearly show that the management review is being properly applied? Also, think about what would trigger a deviation. When would you need to initiate a corrective and preventive action or a change control? Finally, capture one improvement action that could be added to the site action log based on this review. This exercise helps ground theoretical concepts in practical, observable actions, so it's easy to understand how management review and applicability function day to day. Before the inspection, there are several important actions that need to be completed to ensure everything is in order. First, the section must be translated into site-specific SOP language, making sure it aligns with management review and its applicability to our processes. Next, it's crucial to assign a dedicated process owner and a QA reviewer for every deliverable, so accountability is clear. Using trend data effectively helps us focus management attention on controls that really need it. Finally, we must confirm that the entire package is inspection ready. It should be fully approved, easy to retrieve, and complete. The output from this process is a signed and dated readiness package that's specific to our site, with clearly identified owners and an open actions tracker to keep everything transparent and on track. This proactive approach helps us maintain compliance and readiness at all times. Here, we're focusing on the crucial role of senior management in owning and sustaining the pharmaceutical quality system throughout its life cycle. The key takeaway is that when leadership is fully engaged, the system becomes both practical and sustainable. Management review acts as a control point where findings from various processes are analyzed and translated into informed decisions. This ensures continuous improvement and effective oversight. Applicability ensures that all procedures and controls reach the necessary validation stages and are consistently applied to batch releases. To provide evidence of effective management review and applicability, we look at documentation such as review agendas, quality metrics, resource allocation decisions, and batch release governance records. These elements demonstrate how well the system is functioning in practice. The next step involves assigning clear ownership for these processes and closing any outstanding actions to maintain momentum and compliance. With this, we have completed PharmaTalks Checkpoint 10, reinforcing the importance of management review and applicability in maintaining quality standards. In this section, we'll focus on implementation, scale-up, and batch release. Successful implementation depends on several critical elements, including the design space, control strategy, quality risk management, thorough validation, and alignment with the quality unit. These components work together to ensure consistent product quality and compliance. By the end of this section, you should be able to translate regulatory concepts into practical, site-level evidence, establish effective controls, and define clear ownership for actions. This is a crucial step in bridging theory with real-world application in pharmaceutical manufacturing. Let's focus on the key points regarding implementation, scale-up, and batch release from the source. The main takeaway is that ICH-Q10 requires a thorough understanding of several important frameworks. These include the FDA's expectations of the 21st century, ICH-Q8, which deals with design principles, ICH-Q9 focusing on risk management, and also ISO 9000 from 2005. All of these together help maximize the benefits of implementing ICH-Q10 effectively. Importantly, ICH-Q10 isn't just an add-on to existing GMP requirements. It represents an ISO systems approach that is fully integrated into good manufacturing practices. This means it strengthens and supports GMP, making it a vital part of pharmaceutical quality management. Here, we focus on the critical phase of implementation, scale-up, and batch release. The key idea is that successful implementation depends heavily on several interconnected elements: the design space, control strategy, quality risk management, thorough validation, and strong alignment with the quality unit. When we talk about scale-up, we're essentially validating the design space in real-world conditions to ensure everything performs as expected. Batch release, on the other hand, requires a consistent and aligned judgment from the quality unit to maintain product integrity. An important point is that predictive models used throughout this process need to be continually maintained to stay accurate and reliable. This section is vital because it takes a regulatory framework and turns it into practical, everyday actions. It translates policy into objective records and provides essential inputs for management review, making sure quality and compliance are embedded in routine operations. On this slide, we focus on the critical concepts of implementation, scale-up, and batch release. It's important to first translate these terms into the local site language to ensure clear communication and understanding among all team members. From a regulatory perspective, we need to align our definitions with guidelines such as ICH-Q10, which emphasizes a comprehensive understanding of FDA expectations for the 21st century. Additionally, incorporating elements from ICH-Q8, which deals with design, ICH-Q9, focus on risk management, and ISO 9000 standards helps maximize the benefits of a robust quality system. To solidify this understanding, we recommend defining these terms clearly within the quality manual or SOP glossary. Linking each term to objective records and acceptance criteria is essential for consistency and compliance. Training is also crucial. Personnel should be able to explain these concepts confidently during inspections, using practical examples. This approach not only supports regulatory compliance, but also enhances operational effectiveness and product quality throughout implementation, scale up, and batch release processes. On this slide, we focus on the critical risks associated with implementation, scale up, and batch release processes. The main risks we need to keep under control include unverified scale up assumptions, batch release activities that lack sufficient lifecycle context, and predictive models that aren't consistently maintained. These gaps can lead to significant issues if not addressed properly. The key risk control question we must answer is whether the site can clearly demonstrate that each risk is identified, properly ranked, effectively controlled, actively monitored, and regularly reviewed by the appropriate owner. This accountability is essential to maintaining quality and compliance. To manage these risks effectively, it's important to apply quality risk management, especially when dealing with high complexity or patient impact scenarios. Our approach to risk assessment and controls should be proportional to the level of risk involved and always well documented based on available knowledge. Moreover, risk decisions need to be revisited whenever there are changes in data, processes, or regulations to ensure they remain relevant and effective. This proactive, documented, and dynamic approach is key to successful implementation, scale up, and batch release, helping us maintain product quality and patient safety throughout. Now let's focus on the implementation, scale up, and batch release phase, and the importance of having a solid, inspection-ready evidence package. This package is crucial for demonstrating compliance and ensuring that all processes are well documented and transparent. Key components include the validation master plan, which outlines the overall approach to validation activities, the scale-up report detailing how the process is expanded from lab to production scale, and the design space rationale, which explains the scientific reasoning behind process parameters. Additionally, the QP or QA release checklist confirms all quality requirements are met before batch release. It's essential that every file within this package adheres to a high-quality standard. This means each document should be approved, current, complete, traceable, easy to retrieve, and consistent with actual practices on the floor. Keeping your documentation aligned this way helps maintain regulatory compliance and smooth audits. As a practical tip, consider creating a one-page index for this entire section and attach it to the audit room evidence folder. This simple step improves navigation and helps inspectors quickly find what they need, making the audit process more efficient for everyone involved. Here, we are looking at the complete process flow from receiving a signal to taking a controlled action in implementation, scale-up, and batch release. It all starts with a signal, which could be an observation or data point that indicates something noteworthy. Next, we move to assessment, where the risk and impact of the signal are carefully evaluated. Based on this assessment, a decision is made to either approve a path forward or take corrective action. Then comes execution, where the approved control is implemented effectively. Lastly, the process includes a review stage focusing on trends and learning from the data to improve future responses. It's crucial to ensure every handoff in this workflow is documented and time-bound. Quality assurance plays a key role, not just gathering signatures, but actively verifying the process. And if any signals repeat, those should be escalated to management for further review. This approach ensures a robust and controlled process for scaling up and batch release. On this slide, we're focusing on the roles involved in implementation, scale-up, and batch release, along with suggested accountability model. It's crucial to clearly define who is responsible for what throughout the process to ensure smooth operations and compliance. First, we have quality assurance, or QA, which involves both the system owner and an independent reviewer. Their role is to oversee the integrity of the system and ensure everything meets the required standards. Next, operations includes the practice owner and the individual who creates records. This team handles the execution and documentation of the processes. Then, in the quality control or QC lab, there's a designated data and test integrity owner responsible for the accuracy and reliability of all test results. Lastly, management holds responsibility for resource allocation and making risk decisions, critical for maintaining balance between quality and efficiency. A key point here is the need to clearly clarify who approves tasks, who performs them, who conducts reviews, and who is responsible for escalating issues if they arise. It's essential that owners can explain both the standard operating procedures and the record trail to maintain transparency. And importantly, any cross-functional issues must have a named decision maker to avoid confusion or delays. By setting this accountability framework, we ensure that each stage of implementation, scale-up, and batch release is managed effectively and responsibly. Let's talk about the key metrics that are useful for management review during implementation, scale-up, and batch release. Some important indicators include open CAPA aging, change control cycle time, deviation recurrence, audit finding closure, training effectiveness, and right first time records. These metrics help us monitor progress and ensure quality throughout the process. Now, what makes a good metric? A solid metric must have a clearly defined numerator and denominator, a set frequency for measurement, a threshold to trigger action, a designated owner responsible for it, and a clear escalation path if issues arise. It's also crucial to track these metrics as trends over time rather than isolated snapshots. This approach helps us recognize repeated drifts early and turn them into preventive actions before problems escalate. Ultimately, every metric should be linked back to product quality and patient impact to ensure we're meeting our primary goals. By focusing on these metrics, we can manage the implementation, scale-up, and batch release processes more effectively and maintain a high standard of quality and compliance. Let's focus on where an inspector might observe the implementation, scale-up, and batch release processes in your facility. Think about the specific rooms involved, whether the production area, quality control lab, or packaging space. Consider the exact processes taking place at these locations and the records maintained to document these activities. It's important to identify who is responsible for overseeing these steps to ensure accountability. Next, reflect on what constitutes good evidence of compliance and proper execution. This might include detailed batch records, validation reports, or real-time monitoring data that verify processes are performed correctly. Also, think about what situations would prompt a deviation report, a corrective and preventive action, or a change control. For example, if a batch doesn't meet quality specifications or if equipment calibration is missed, these would trigger such responses. Finally, identify one improvement action that could be added to the site action log to enhance the process further, whether it's updating documentation, improving training, or optimizing workflow. This exercise helps solidify our understanding of practical application within your facility. Before the inspection, there are several important actions we need to complete. First, we translate this section into site-specific SOP language to ensure the implementation, scale-up, and batch release processes are clear and tailored to our site. It's crucial to assign one process owner and one QA reviewer for every deliverable to maintain accountability and oversight throughout the process. We also rely on trend data to identify which controls need focused management attention, allowing us to proactively address potential issues. Finally, we must confirm that the final package is inspection-ready, fully approved, and easily retrievable. The output from this work is a signed and dated site-specific readiness package, with clear ownership assigned and an open actions tracker to monitor ongoing tasks and ensure nothing is overlooked. This structured approach helps us stay prepared and compliant during the inspection phase. Let's recap the key points from the implementation, scale-up, and batch release phase. The core idea here is that successful implementation depends heavily on the design space, control strategy, quality risk management, thorough validation, and the involvement of the quality unit. When it comes to controls, scale-up activities serve to validate the design space in real-world conditions, ensuring everything works as planned. Meanwhile, batch release is tightly linked to the quality unit's judgment, requiring their full alignment and approval. To provide evidence that these steps are properly managed, we rely on documentation such as the validation master plan, the scale-up report, the design space rationale, and the QP or QA release checklist. These documents collectively demonstrate that the process is under control and meets our quality standards. Moving forward, the next crucial step is to assign clear ownership for all remaining tasks and to close any open actions. This ensures accountability and progress toward finalizing the batch release. With this, we have successfully completed PharmaTalks Checkpoint 11, covering all aspects of implementation, scale-up, and batch release. In this section, we're focusing on the critical elements that influence the successful implementation of ICH-Q10. The key takeaway here is that a strong quality culture, built on trust and practical adoption, is essential for driving sustainable improvements. Without these foundational elements, simply understanding the regulations isn't enough. By the end of this part, you'll be equipped to translate these regulatory concepts into tangible actions at the site level, creating clear evidence, establishing effective controls, and ensuring that ownership and accountability are in place. This approach helps ensure that quality management isn't just theoretical, but actively supports continuous improvement in real-world scenarios. Here, we focus on the key challenges, the importance of trust and culture change, and a brief summary of the source. One of the main issues highlighted is the need for building trust and fostering a culture change within both the industry and regulatory bodies. This means encouraging openness in vision and collaboration, which is crucial for success in the sector. There's also a concern about whether the Q10 approach might put smaller and medium-sized manufacturing units at a disadvantage. Overall, these challenges center around aligning the culture and trust between regulators and the industry to ensure better compliance and innovation. This snapshot gives us a clear picture of the hurdles ahead and the cultural shifts required for progress. On this slide, we focus on the critical factors that influence the success of implementing ICH-Q10, challenges, culture, and closure of the system. The core idea here is that building a quality culture, fostering trust, and adopting practical approaches are essential for achieving sustainable improvement. One of the biggest hurdles is overcoming barriers related to trust and organizational culture, especially since these elements impact how well new processes are embraced. For smaller and medium-sized units, it's particularly important to have practical pathways that make implementation feasible and effective. Additionally, using references and continuous learning helps close the loop, ensuring that improvements are maintained over time. Why does this matter? Because this section transforms a regulatory principle into everyday actions, daily behaviors, objective documentation, and meaningful inputs for management reviews. This makes the entire process more tangible and integrated into routine operations, reinforcing continuous quality enhancement. On this slide, we're focusing on the critical aspects of challenges, culture, and how to close gaps effectively. One key point here is the importance of translating terms into the site's language. This ensures everyone fully understands the regulatory phrases and their implications. Challenges often arise from differences in site meaning and interpretation, so clear communication is essential. Trust and culture change are fundamental to bridging these gaps. Both industry and regulatory bodies need to work together to foster trust and openness, creating a shared vision. Evidence plays a central role in this process, supporting transparency and accountability. To address these challenges, it's vital to define important terms clearly within the quality manual or SOP glossary. Linking these terms to objective records and acceptance criteria helps ground them in tangible standards. Additionally, providing training with practical examples empowers personnel to confidently explain these concepts during inspections. Ultimately, culture change involves commitment from both industry and regulators, aiming for a collaborative environment where challenges are openly discussed and addressed. This approach not only helps in overcoming obstacles, but also strengthens the overall quality and compliance framework. Here, we're looking at the main risks to control within the context of challenges, culture, and risk management. One of the primary barriers we face is trust and culture. This can significantly affect how risk management practices are adopted and maintained. Another challenge is the burden placed on small units during implementation. They may struggle with resources or expertise. Additionally, references that are not embedded into the quality management system can lead to gaps in compliance and oversight. The key risk control question to keep in mind is, can the site demonstrate that risks are being properly identified, ranked, controlled, monitored, and reviewed by the appropriate owner? This accountability is essential to effective risk management. To address these issues, we recommend using quality risk management, or QRM, especially when dealing with high complexity or significant patient impact. It's important that the rationale behind risk decisions is proportional to the level of risk and well documented with relevant knowledge. And finally, risk decisions should be regularly reviewed and updated whenever there are changes in data, processes, or regulations to ensure ongoing effectiveness and compliance. Here we're focusing on the essential elements needed to build an inspection-ready evidence package. First, having a clear culture plan is vital. It sets the tone for compliance and quality throughout the organization. Alongside that, completing a thorough quality management system maturity assessment helps identify where improvements are needed and ensures your processes are robust. Training closure is another key aspect, making sure everyone is fully prepared and up to date with the necessary knowledge. Maintaining a detailed reference log supports traceability and easy retrieval of information during audits. Now, when it comes to file quality standards, each file must be approved, current, complete, traceable, and fully aligned with actual practice. This ensures transparency and reliability in your documentation. A helpful tip from PharmaTalks is to create a one-page index for each section and attach it to the audit room evidence folder. This simple step significantly improves organization and accessibility during inspections, making it easier for auditors to find exactly what they need. Here, we're looking at the process flow from the initial signal to controlled action, highlighting the challenges, culture, and closing steps involved. It starts with the signal, which is essentially the observation or collection of data that triggers our attention. Next, we move into assessment, where we analyze the risk and impact associated with that signal. Based on this assessment, a decision is made regarding the approval path to follow. After getting approval, the execution phase involves implementing the necessary controls to address the issue. Finally, the process concludes with a review step, where trends are identified and lessons are learned to continuously improve. To ensure effectiveness, every handoff in this process should be documented and time-bound. Quality assurance should verify the process itself, rather than just collecting signatures, and any repeated signals should be escalated for management review. This structured approach helps maintain control while fostering a culture of accountability and continuous improvement. On this slide, we're focusing on the suggested accountability model, which is crucial for addressing challenges related to culture and closing gaps in our processes. The key roles include the system owner and independent reviewer, who are responsible for oversight and ensuring compliance. Operations, on the other hand, involve the practice owner and record creator, who manage the day-to-day activities and maintain accurate records. In the QC or lab environment, the data and test integrity owner plays a vital role in safeguarding the quality and reliability of our results. Management holds responsibility for resources and risk decisions, ensuring that we have what we need to operate effectively while managing any potential risks. One of the most important points here is the need to clarify who approves, who performs, who reviews, and who escalates issues. This eliminates confusion and establishes clear accountability. Additionally, owners must be able to explain both the SOP, the standard operating procedure, and the record trail, so there is transparency and traceability in every step. Finally, it's essential not to leave any cross-functional issues without a named decision maker. Every challenge must have someone accountable for resolution to foster a strong culture of responsibility. This model helps us build that culture while closing critical gaps. Now, let's discuss some useful metrics for management review that help us track performance and ensure continuous improvement. Key metrics include open CAPA aging, which measures how long corrective and preventive actions remain unresolved, helping us prioritize and close issues promptly. Change control cycle time tracks the duration from the initiation to the completion of change requests, ensuring timely implementation. Deviation recurrence monitors repeated issues, pointing to areas requiring deeper investigation. Audit finding closure indicates how efficiently we address audit observations, and training effectiveness assesses how well-staffed training translates into improved performance. Finally, right first time records measure accuracy in documentation and processes, reducing rework and errors. For these metrics to be effective, they must pass a quality test. This means each metric needs a clear numerator and denominator to quantify performance accurately, a defined frequency for measurement, thresholds to signal acceptable performance, an assigned owner accountable for results, and an established escalation path for addressing deviations. It's also important to view metrics as trends over time rather than isolated snapshots. By doing so, we can identify recurring patterns and convert these trends into preventive actions before issues escalate. Finally, all metrics should be connected back to product quality and the impact on patient safety, ensuring that our efforts directly contribute to positive healthcare outcomes. Now, let's engage with discussion prompt focus on challenges, culture, and close. Think about your facility. Where would an inspector observe these concepts in practice? Consider identifying a specific room, the process involved, the relevant records, and the responsible owner. Next, let's define what strong evidence looks like in that context. Also, reflect on what circumstances would trigger a deviation, a corrective and preventive action, or a change control. Finally, capture one actionable improvement that could be added to the site action log. This exercise will help us ground these important ideas in real-world examples and drive continuous improvement. Before the inspection, there are several critical actions we need to complete to ensure everything is in order. First, we must translate this section into site-specific standard operating procedure language, tailoring the content specifically for challenges, culture, and close. This helps make the information clear and applicable to our unique environment. Next, it's important to assign one process owner and one quality assurance reviewer for every deliverable. This ensures accountability and thorough review. We should also use trend data to identify which controls need management's focus. This proactive approach allows us to address potential issues before the inspection. Lastly, we must confirm that the final package is inspection ready. It needs to be fully approved and easy to retrieve when needed. The output of these efforts will be a signed and dated readiness package that is tailored to our site, with clear owners assigned and an open actions tracker to monitor any outstanding items. This comprehensive preparation is crucial for a smooth and successful inspection. To wrap up, the core idea we need to focus on is how quality culture, trust, and practical adoption directly impact the sustainability of ICH Q10 implementation. We identify that trust and organizational culture often act as barriers during implementation, especially in small and medium-sized units, which require clear, practical pathways to succeed. We also have concrete evidence to support this approach, including our culture plan, the QMS maturity assessment, training completion records, and reference logs. Moving forward, the next critical step is to assign clear ownership and close out any remaining open actions. With that, we've successfully completed PharmaTalks Checkpoint 12, covering challenges, culture, and closing steps for a solid finish.